welcome to Pikeville High School Football 1985. My name is Chuck Dammer, and I'll be providing the play-by-play tonight. Alongside me is old man Neil Smith, and upstairs, Stafford Dameron on the camera. Pikeville High School 3-0 on the season. Neil's a little tickled. He don't think he's old, I guess. What's wrong?
Chuck, I think you're getting me back for the comment last week. And
let me say one thing before you go on. I may be 45, like you said last week, but I got back and got the annual out, and I noticed that you're in my graduating class. And if you're in my graduating class, I've got to figure you're going to be somewhere near 45 then.
Well, let's tell the truth. We're both 27.
That's right. That's right. 27. Stafford is the only one that is nearing 50, and he's upstairs and can't say anything about it, I guess.
I do want to say the staff put me up to that, and it really wasn't my idea. And you know that I would have done that, and I want to offer a public retraction and apology.
No way. Okay, Pikeville 3-0 on the season, going against the Elkhorn City Cougars. Elkhorn City a win last week over Johns Creek. They're 1-1 on the year, and a football game here, Neil, that has through the years been a big rivalry, Elkhorn City and Pikeville, and it's always been a dogfight.
It has indeed, Chuck. Regardless of the quality of the teams from one side or the other, it seems that year in and year out, Pikeville and Elkhorn play a very intense football game because of the past history of the rival. And we always see a close ball game, or almost always see a close ball games, again, irregardless of the rating of the two teams.
Okay, Neil, if Pikeville comes out like they did last week against the Wheelwright Trojans, and they're a little lackadaisy, they may find themselves more than one touchdown behind against this Elkhorn City club. I don't think they can afford to do that.
I don't either. From what I've heard and from what I've seen in warm-ups, I do think that Elkhorn City has a better ball team than Wheelwright. And certainly Pikeville can't be as lackadaisical as they were, particularly in the first three quarters against Wheelwright. But, you know, Chuck, too, from a standpoint of psychology, you saw the first game, what a football game we saw. Cumberland had one of the finer Class A teams I've ever seen, and I honestly still think that Pikeville does also. And it's not uncommon to see, you've coached and you know, such a letdown as you saw with Pikeville. And it took them the better part of three quarters of football to wake up.
You know, that was an argument that John Wooden always used to have at UCLA. I met him a few times, was fortunate enough to get just to sit down and just talk basketball with him. And he made that comment that at UCLA or any place that he had ever coached, he never put any more emphasis on any one basketball game. And that kind of amazed me. He said he never tried to fire his team up for any one ball game. He treated them all the same. And maybe a good philosophy, but very few people will do that.
You know, I can understand how an adult like John Wooden could understand that concept and perhaps live it out. But for a kid 18, 19, 20 years old in college, how do you convince him that the championship game with Houston is not as important as the Oregon State game in mid-December? And I think even more so, it would be even more difficult for high school kids. They knew what kind of a game they had against Cumberland, and they can read the paper, and they saw that Cumberland was ranked number 2 in the state. And after that victory, they sensed a feeling of success and accomplishment. And again, that's something you like to enjoy and sort of bask in that glory for a little while, and they basked just a little too long.
That's exactly right. Wooden also made another statement one time. He said that, you know, he didn't believe in having to go out and scout. And, you know, we made the comment back to him, you know, I don't guess so. If you've got a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and people like that, I don't guess you do have to go scout. Because he has got a point there, because people have to adjust to him. He does not have to adjust to them. That's the same way like Pikeville. There may not be a need for them to scout a Wheelwright, you know, a Betsy Lane, or a team of that nature, because that team has to adjust to them.
That could well be, particularly since Pikeville, at least on paper, has been the better football team in the last 2 weeks, meaning this Elkhorn game and Wheelwright. I'm sure they scouted Cumberland. Well, I know they did because I talked to some of the coaches prior to the game. Frankly, I've never played in a football game that I didn't have a good scouting report. I know when I was in high school and Gene Davis was our coach, Gene always had a good scouting report week in and week out, regardless of who we played. And it was of great benefit to us in preparation for that next game. and certainly in college, teams exchange films, and you really, truly study teams on the college level. But like you say, if you've got a Sidney Wicks or a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and a Bill Walton, you let people come in and see what they could do to you. And probably you don't have to prepare for them, at least in the scouting realm, like you do if you're on the same level as they are.
Okay, Pikeville making their way off the field. We're about 7 or 8 minutes away from football. The Pikeville High School Marching Band, under the direction of Lee Burke, is now performing a pregame show for the many fans that have made their way out here tonight. And it looks like we're going to have a good crowd on hand. It's very cool. It is turned into a football evening, Neil, real quick.
Perfect weather. You couldn't ask for better weather. I don't know what the temperature is, but it is cool. A clear sky. The ground conditions are perfect. The kids should have good footing tonight. I noticed in the warm-ups, too, Chuck, that once again this week, it appears that our opponent, being Elkhorn City, has an excellent throwing quarterback. And in light of what we've seen the last 2 weeks, I would expect that Elkhorn will throw the ball quite a bit.
Okay, that leads me into my next question I was going to ask you. As you progress during a football season or whatever the sport may be, when you're coaching, you go back that next week and look at the things you did wrong and start working on them for the following week to try to correct them. What were some of the mistakes that Pikeville need to correct from last week?
Well, from last week, Chuck, it was really difficult to tell. It would be a lot easier to go back 2 weeks ago and point out some weaknesses that they illustrated against Cumberland simply because of the strength of Cumberland's football team. Wheelwright wasn't that strong, and Pikeville played such a loose game against Wheelwright. They were so uninspired that you couldn't really tell if their mistakes last week were the result of lack of preparation or technical breakdowns or simply a lack of attention and emotional enthusiasm. I like to think that last week's result was because of the latter, that being a lack of enthusiasm. But Pikeville certainly, without a doubt, needs to work on their pass defense. I think they need to concentrate, too, on their containment. Pikeville is big and strong from tackle to tackle, and I think they need to work on rushing the passer when he does drop back rather than just making that initial lick and defending like they do against the run.
Okay, where does, when you're talking about rushing the passer, are you talking about blitzing from the end positions or linebackers? Or?
Well, not necessarily. I'm talking simply about after that initial contact is made at the line of scrimmage, our tackle and nose guard and perhaps our linebackers, if they are rushing, need to really put some pressure on the quarterback. Not in a blitz situation necessarily, but just to pursue the quarterback and put a little pressure on him rather than just stalk him and give him time to throw and make sure he doesn't run out of the pocket.
Okay, Pikeville plays most of the time I think of split six, right? On defense. Maybe for the fans that don't know what a split six is, maybe you could kind of explain that defense.
I'm not so sure that I'm qualified to do that. I've never played a split six, although I've seen it.
You can give maybe the formation, what it's supposed to look like on the field.
Certainly, rather than the 5 up linemen that you would have in the old conventional 5-4 defense, you have 6 up linemen and then 4 people across. Those people across consist of 2 linebackers and 2 outbacks, which sort of act as outside linebackers and or cornerbacks as you see it on TV in the NFL. That creates a lot of responsibility on those cornerbacks because they have the run containment responsibility where they have to come up on a run very quickly and try to make the play on the line of scrimmage. At the same time, they have a pass responsibility, so they have to diagnose the play very quickly. And a mistake that might cost them a second and a half or 2 can result in the wrong movement either up or back, which can again result in a gain on the ground or a pass completion for the opposition. It's a very difficult defense against the pass, but it's a very strong defense against the run. And in high school, you would think that would be a good defense, but you see more passing, I think, in the last few years than we saw certainly years ago when I played. And go ahead.
Maybe we're seeing passing because that's where Pikeville's weak.
I think that is the case, although I think Wheelwright had pretty much a passing game, and that may have been it. And too, for Cumberland, they have such a good quarterback, and we'll see what Elkhorn does tonight. But I think the teams that do scout Pikeville will throw the ball just a little more than they ordinarily would, or at least they'll try to early on to see what success they can have.
Okay, you got 6 across the line and 4 back there, 2 linebackers, 2 outbacks, or 4 linebackers, what are you going to call it? That leaves you 1 man back in the middle. I guess you're calling that a safety.
Right, that would be your free safety, and that free safety has a lot of responsibility because he's, in essence, covering nearly 53 yards, the width of the field. He has to react very quickly. He has to be very intuitive as to where the ball is going, what the quarterback's going to do, because he has a rotation-type responsibility. If the quarterback rolls to the left or the right, that safety man has to rotate to that side and cover deep in that area. And then your offside cornerback has to pull back and cover the deep backside. And it's difficult to do unless you react very quickly and know your responsibility well. In the first game, I felt like Pikeville was a little confused. And, of course, as we mentioned during that Cumberland game, Maggard was freezing those defensive backs a bit with some misdirection. He would start one way a step or two and then go the other. That makes it even more difficult on that wide tackle 6 defense.
So a scrambler causes you difficulties.
A great deal, yes.
Okay, what about, I've heard people mention this many times. They'll say, so-and-so's the monster man. What type of defense do you find a monster man in?
You find a monster in the old 4-3 where you have what in essence a monster man is a strong safety. And he has much the same responsibility as the cornerback in the wide tackle 6 formation. However, he doesn't have containment, and he doesn't have to come up as quickly as these backs do. Another thing that I find really difficult for these high school players in a wide tackle 6, the defensive ends have some pass responsibility, and that's very difficult to function under that pressure because you have to react so quickly to get back in that flat.
Okay, right now we're going to have the pregame prayer by Larry Keene, then the playing of the national anthem by the band.
And we pray together. Our Father, as we bow before you, Lord, it's with a feeling of gratitude always to be able to pray, and especially
Pikeville 3-0 on the season, going against the Elkhorn City Cougars 2-1. I mentioned earlier they were 1-1. That is not true. They defeated Wheelwright and they defeated Johns Creek last week. They lost to Whitesburg 21-12. Pikeville's only close contest this year has been against Cumberland in the Pikeville National Bank Pike County Bowl game. We'd like to remind you at this time, this game being brought to you by Log Cabin Restaurant. And if you get an opportunity, go by, see Jimmy, tell him thanks for bringing you these telecasts. Have dinner with him. You'll surely enjoy it. Pikeville High School Panthers making their way back out onto the field as they take on the Elkhorn City Cougars. Neil, Washington is a question mark tonight. He played very sparingly last week, didn't he?
Yes, he did. When the game first began, Chuck, we in the press box really didn't know that there was any problem with Keith. However, we noticed very quickly that he wasn't in the ball game. He did enter the game, I think, in the third quarter when things looked like they were very serious. And he played a few plays, but he didn't stay in for any length of time. I understand that he has a bruised thigh or a bruised knee.
Right, and they're kind of worried about it, and I don't know. He may play tonight. They're just not sure what they're going to do. Washington has run the ball 20 times this year, Neil, for 254 yards. That's 12 yards a carry, and that's tough not having that in the lineup.
Yes, it is. As Dickie and I were talking last week, Pikeville has certainly a lot of good depth at the running back position. They have Robbie Rowe and Andy Williamson, Chad Thornsberry, Danny Mullins. These kids can really run the football. Chris McNamee, they're excellent running backs. But none of them are anywhere close, in my opinion, to the caliber of Keith Washington. He certainly is head and shoulders above any back that we have, and I'm sure the coaching staff is aware of that, and the opponents are aware of that.
I guess probably if any other one other than Washington may break along with it, may be the Mullins boy.
I would say so, although Danny doesn't have a lot of strength. He's very quick, and he's fast. Danny gives a lot of effort. Danny's capable of breaking a long run, but he's so light, Chuck, that he's very easily brought down at the line of scrimmage. You can arm tackle Danny Mullins. You can't arm tackle Keith Washington. Keith is heavy, he's strong, and you've got to put your shoulder or your headgear into Keith to bring him down, and Danny can be tripped up. So, again, Keith is the premier back for Pikeville, and they need him in there in a tough situation. It makes Pikeville an all-around better ball team, takes some pressure off Gene Pinson and the other backs.
Right, okay, the captains are out on the center of the field getting ready for the coin toss. Captains for Pikeville, number 11. Is that 11?
Yes, it is,
Brian
Chuck.
Cox.
That's Brian Cox, yes.
And 33,
Danny Coleman.
Danny Coleman are the captains tonight for Pikeville. 14 different players have scored in 3 games for Pikeville. Neil, I think that is outstanding.
That is outstanding, and that's good for your football team, Chuck. Everybody ought to get a piece of the action. And it does, I think, indicate that Pikeville has a well-balanced football team. We do say an awful lot about Keith Washington, but Pikeville indeed has some other fine football players, and that's a good statistic showing that they do have a well-balanced team and other kids who can contribute scoring-wise and otherwise to the team.
Okay, Elkhorn City won the toss. They elected to receive the football, so Pikeville will be kicking off to the Cougars when we begin play. Pikeville, of course, Gene Pinson will be back there at quarterback. He's 12 out of 29 passings, thrown 3 interceptions, picked up 228 yards through the air, and thrown 3 TD passes.
Chuck, I understand Elkhorn City has a new football coach this year, and I've been advised that he was informed sometime in July that he was going to be the football coach for Elkhorn City. I was told by someone that he was at some kind of Army camp when they sent him a letter or some sort of a wire and said, "You're the new football coach."
Yeah, it's Randall Akers, and I don't know if he wanted the job or not, but he got it.
Well, I was told, too, that he started out with 20-some football players the first game, and they now have 47, so he's apparently gone through the school and found some kids that do want to play, and we'll see what kind of a job he does tonight. We do know that he's 2-1, having beaten Johns Creek and Wheelwright.
Mark Williams will be doing the kicking for Pikeville. That's Dwayne Elkins up there with him near the football. He'll give everybody the go. Elkhorn City's got 3 back deep. Well, those numbers are going to be tough to pick up on Elkhorn.
They are. They're wearing a uniform I've not seen in the past. It's a bright yellow with blue numerals.
Watched a little bit on the game the other night, and it's amazing how much better you can see it on TV than what we can see from here. You know, people, they think, okay, Elkhorn City with it on about the 10-yard line, straight up the middle, got some running room, gets it out across the 25 to about the 28-yard line, and Elkhorn City will take over there 1st and 10. For the Elkhorn City Cougars in the backfield, it'll be number 10, Mitch Eisenhoff, handling the quarterback position. He's 6 foot, 170, and a senior. In the backfield with him will be number 20, James Hunt, number 35, Hackney Addington, number 40, Anthony Looney. Center for Elkhorn City will be John Ruth. And the Cougars, looks like a wishbone. I believe it is wishbone. Back to pass. Eisenhoff looks straight up the middle now. He's going to take it himself. He's got some running room. Across the 35, down to about the 39-yard line goes Mitch Eisenhoff. And, Neil, we may have another scrambler on our hands.
Looks a lot like Freddie Maggard from Cumberland. This kid's a 170-pound senior, 6 feet tall. He dropped back, and boy, Chuck, he really looked like he had some confidence, and he really had his composure on that play. When the rush broke down, he found a hole and picked up 9 yards.
Mitch
really
is an athlete. Yeah, he is. He averaged 20-some points a game last year in basketball, so I think he's a three-sport man, so he's an athlete. Elkhorn City receivers both sides of the field this time, split backs. Eisenhoff calling signals. Quarterback sneak. Well, it was wide open there, Neil, and I don't know if that was called from the huddle or he saw that. Maybe the coaches before the game went over with him. You know, if you see that open, go ahead and take the sneak.
I bet that was a switch off the line of scrimmage, I'm sure, which he has the authority to do from the coaching staff, Chuck. I have noticed that Eisenhoff really carries that ball out with one hand, and I wouldn't be surprised to see somebody knock that out and create a fumble.
Yeah, that'll cost him somewhere down the line. Same formation. Eisenhoff, long count. Hand off to Looney. Looney's got some room. He's got the first down all the way down in Pikeville territory, and we've got a fight here broke out for only a moment. Robbie Rowe and 35 of Elkhorn City, Neil.
That's Hackey Addington, 5'10", 200-pound junior fullback. Boy, Elkhorn City looks pretty quick. They seem like they execute very well, Chuck.
Very quick. I'm impressed with them thus far. They're in Pikeville territory on the 48-yard line of Pikeville. Both ends up that time. Eisenhoff to throw. Throws it out there. Incomplete. And not really a great thrown pass there. And a little bit overthrown.
It was a little overthrown, but Danny Coleman played that ball pretty well. He came up from his right defensive back position on that, Chuck, and it got there about the time the ball did. However, had it been well thrown, it probably would have been completed.
Okay, Elkhorn City will have it second down, 10 yards to go. Pikeville territory at the 48-yard line. Very good evening for football. Temperatures probably dropped down near about 50 degrees, I'd say, by now. Getting very cool.
Elkhorn really splits its ends out wide.
Sure do. Man in motion. Eisenhoff back to pass. A big rush. Now he's scrambling, throws, and almost picked off there by McNamee, and almost also receiver almost got it. It's anybody's ball.
Chuck, Chris McNamee played that ball very well. He rotated to his left with the flow of the quarterback and was back with a wide receiver, and the cornerback on that side, Robbie Wright, was also back in that vicinity. I think somebody ran the wrong route. You had two receivers right next to each other, and I noticed the offside halfback didn't turn back and rotate toward the middle, and Elkhorn had a man wide open about 30 yards down the field, and the quarterback apparently didn't see him.
Okay, Eisenhoff, slot right. Obvious passing situation here for Elkhorn City. Dropped straight back as Eisenhoff throws over here. Got his receiver and he dropped it. I don't think he would have got the first down anyway, Neil.
No, Pikeville seemed to have diagnosed that pretty quickly, and they had some defenders out there. Had the young receiver caught the ball, I think Pikeville would have held him to a 3 or 4 yard gain at the most.
Okay, Elkhorn City will punt it away, and with a good punt, Pikeville will start way back deep in their own territory. There's a snap, and here goes the kick, and he barely gets it off. A terrible kick. Fielded there. Let's see, that's Mahan, I believe.
Yes, it was. Brian Mahan. Very, very intelligent move, Chuck. A lot of high school kids, I'm sure, would have let a short kick like that bounce, perhaps go down to about the 25 or 20-yard line. Brian fielded the ball at about the 34 and advanced it 3 or 4 yards, and Pikeville now has the ball on the 37-yard line. I'm sure that saves them some yardage.
Well, that ended up being a 10-yard punt. That's not going to help you.
Heads-up play by Brian Mahan.
Okay, Pikeville on offense. Gene Pinson, the quarterback. I formation for the Panthers. That's Robbie Rowe with it, I believe. And he'll have a few yards. I do not see Washington in there, Neil.
No, Washington's not in there right now. You've got Robbie Rowe in that backfield with Danny Mullins. Chris McNamee's now checking in at the end position for Danny Coleman.
Okay, Andy Williamson back there at fullback, 6'1", 185, and a junior. Robbie Rowe, 5'8", 170, and a senior. I formation again for Pikeville. Wide receivers, both sides of the field. Benson takes it. Hands off. It's maybe 43-yard line. Robbie Rowe again, the ball carrier. We're just underway here in the first quarter, 9:16 to go, no score. You just joined us. Elkhorn City took the kickoff and looked pretty good on offense. Got it all the way down to Pikeville territory to 48. Pikeville got a little tough there, held the Elkhorn City Cougars. They had to punt it away, and they got away a terrible kick. Went about 10 yards, fielded by Mahan, and now Pikeville is on offense. They've got it third down and about 4 yards to go for a first down.
They're going to have to do something besides go off tackle here, I think, Chuck, to pick up this first down.
Elkhorn City, not a small ball club. There's a handoff. Mullins with it, and not much there at all, Neil. Good defense by the Cougars.
Yes, it was, but we saw 3 straight plays by Pikeville, Chuck, and they never got outside the tackle. And with a 3rd and 5 situation and the ball on the 40-yard line, I really anticipated a pass from Pikeville on that play, but Hillard, being conservative that he is, Hillard doesn't like to throw the ball unless he's very comfortable with it, and obviously on that particular play he wasn't comfortable with the pass.
Okay, Robbie Taylor to kick it for Pikeville. There's the kick, and he gets away a pretty good kick. Real high, good hang time. Got a man down there, boom, got away from him. Still on his feet. Now he runs down the sidelines and gets finally tackled over there around the 32, 33-yard line, and I believe that was Addington, I believe was the ball carrier. And Pikeville had 2 people down there ready to make the stop, but he got away. Was it Looney?
I think it was Looney, Chuck. Excellent return. 2 people had a good shot at him, and he evaded the tacklers. Real nice kick by Robbie Taylor that time. They had 35-yard kick, had a lot of altitude on the ball, and Pikeville's men were down there with good coverage. They just couldn't harness that Elkhorn City back.
Well, kicking can be very important to any program. Very important part of the game. We've got a flag down, and I'm always kind of amazed at the University of Kentucky that they never recruit a kicker. It amazes me.
You know, I listened to the Jerry Claiborne show the other night on the radio, and they were discussing that, Chuck, and this year probably more so than any time in the past 10 years, Kentucky has no punter at all, so they say, and they ran an advertisement in the UK campus magazine asking for prospective punters to come out and give it a try, and they finally did keep a fellow that was a walk-on. He wasn't one of the student recruits, but he was a walk-on, and they asked Coach Claiborne if perhaps in the future they would start recruiting kickers specifically for kicking. And he said that certainly he and his staff were going to reevaluate their position on that. In the past they had not, but the kicking situation this year apparently is very crucial at UK, and he said from now on they are going to start looking for some fellows who can punt and place kick and do nothing else. It would be worth the scholarship.
Right, I think it's a very, very important part of the game. I know one year in Pikeville in the playoffs, the kicking game won the overtime game against Lynch because Ray Haley was able to kick it in the end zone. Lynch had to start on the 20, and when Lynch kicked off to Pikeville in overtime, Pikeville got to start on about the 38-yard line, and their penetration was already deeper.
Boy, that's a good example. There's a 20-yard pickup on your kick.
Right. Okay, Elkhorn City Cougars with it. Mitch Eisenhoff, I think it was offsetting penalties there. And we've got all kinds of people jumping there. Maybe Pikeville made first contact.
I don't know who broke the plane first.
Honecker, I believe, was the first man to jump.
We had Elkhorn people jumping, and we had Pikeville. You know, in high school, Chuck, all you have to do is cross the plane, the line of scrimmage. You don't have to make any contact. As in college and the pros, you can get back if you don't make any contact. But in high school, you just have to encroach that line of scrimmage, and you've got a penalty.
Right, kind of like bowling. If you go across that little line, the buzzer goes off.
That's right.
Okay, so we'll make it a 1st and 5. And, Neil, a 1st and 5 is a good situation for an offensive team.
Yes, indeed it is. Well, they've already picked up 5 yards, and they don't have to lose it down. And they can pass now and not lose anything if it's incomplete.
Good time to throw a long one, really. Eisenhoff takes it. Hands off, and maybe throw for a loss back there. Pick up that tackler.
Jimmy Honecker. Chuck, an excellent play by the young freshman. Boy, he's an incredible freshman. 5'10", 250 pounds, very quick.
Yeah, he's quick for a big man, that's for sure. 2nd down and 9. They lost 4 yards on the play. I believe that was Addington, the ball carrier for Elkhorn City, and he was trying to get outside, and it's amazing to me that Longacre at 250 could be as quick as Addington was, but he was on that play.
He's some athlete for his age.
Okay, the Cougars. Man in motion. That'd be James Hunt in motion. Back to pass. Eisenhoff looks, and he may be thrown for a loss here. He gets the pass away and almost picked off. It was picked off. No, it wasn't. He caught the ball, but they blew it dead back there.
I think we had a quick whistle there, Chuck, although it really didn't make any difference because the pass was thrown and caught by James Hunt of Elkhorn City, and Robbie Rowe diagnosed that play, immediately, and made the tackle on the receiver at the same point where the quarterback had gone down.
Right. It was not a very good pass for the quarterback, and I think, he's supposed to eat that one.
No question about it. Had Robbie Rowe seen that a little earlier and the play not been called dead, he could have picked it off and waltzed in from the 20-yard line.
Okay, 3rd and about 20 yards to go, so Elkhorn City has been going backwards here the last 2 plays. Big 3rd down play for the Cougars. They need a lot of yardage here, 20 of it. Man in motion again is Hunt. Straight up the middle, and I'm surprised at that call.
Well, I'm really not, Chuck. I think Elkhorn just wanted to kick this football and get it back into Pikeville territory if they can. They had a 3rd down and 20 from their own 22-yard line, and any kind of a pass could have been intercepted, and they would really have
I would think a draw might have been better there. That was just a regular straight handoff, wasn't it?
I agree with you. A draw or maybe a screen pass that
Uh-oh. Hacked over the head of the punter. He runs out of there with it, trying to get loose, and he gets nailed on about the 4 or 5 yard line. And Pikeville will have it, and they'll be able to take it in from here, hopefully.
Well, that was an excellent tackle by Chad Helby, Chuck. He chased the punter down into and out of the end zone, and when the punter came out of the end zone and tried to get some yardage back, Chad did an excellent job of breaking down and making an excellent tackle.
I'm not sure what yard line. Let's see. That's about the 6, I believe, isn't it? 5?
Looks like it's on the 5-yard line.
Okay, 5-yard line. Danny Mullins there checking in late for Pikeville. Now he's trying to get the play from Robbie Rowe. Pitts it under center. Takes it. Hands off. That's Robbie Rowe, and he falls down. Tried to cut back up in the middle and just lost his footing, Neil.
Yeah, it didn't look like there was much there. An Elkhorn defender came up and sealed off the hole on the right side of the Pikeville line, and Robbie, in an attempt to cut back inside of that defender, slipped and fell.
Now, I'm impressed with the Elkhorn City defensive line.
Chuck, we don't have all of their sizes, but they look to be very heavy.
Sure do. Okay, Pinson with it. Hands off. Mullins with it. He gets down inside the 5, maybe to about the 2 or 3. Wait and see where they spot it. About the 2-yard line.
Chuck, we've seen Pikeville run the ball from tackle to tackle every time thus far. I think this would be a perfect opportunity for an option play or a bootleg, even a reverse.
Plenty of room to the left. Okay, I formation for Pikeville. Pinson with it, takes it, hands off. That's Robbie Rowe with it, up in there, and he scores. So Pikeville goes on top 6-0 on a 2-yard run by Robbie Rowe, straight up the middle, Neil.
Yes, really you don't have many other places to go when you run from that power I formation. That's 2 sets, 2 backs, one behind the other, and a blocking back set to the right or left.
Okay, Neely will be doing the kicking for Pikeville on the extra point. It's down. It's up, and I believe it's off to the left. It is. No good. Pikeville 6, Elkhorn City nothing at 4:59 to go in the first quarter.
You're on pause.
At this time, we'd like to announce that the Pikeville High School student council will sponsor a dance for the Pikeville High School students after the game tonight. And located upon the concession stand.
Okay, give yourself 4 seconds. Go.
Okay, Pikeville ready to kick off now after getting the touchdown, a 2-yard run by Robbie Rowe. Pikeville leading 6-0 over the Elkhorn City Cougars. Almost 5 minutes to go here in the first quarter. There's the kick, and it's down the right side, taken on about the 15-yard line. Straight up toward the middle, some running room, and all the way out across the 35 to about the 37-yard line. And I tell you, I wish I could watch this on TV. I could see them numbers better.
That kid running the ball for Elkhorn that time, Chuck, was Monthly Hogston, and he looked to be very quick. Elkhorn's got some quality players. I don't know if they have enough of them to play with Pikeville.
Okay, well, they were right here in this contest until they made the mistake of hiking the ball over the punter's head, and that set up Pikeville's touchdown. The Cougars will go back on the attack now, and they had moved the ball their first series of play. Their second series, they did not move it. Had a slot to the right, back to passes Eisenhoff, and down he goes. Big rush there.
I think we've got a face mask on number 44, which would be Link Ritz, and he knew that he did it, and he certainly didn't mean to. I don't know if they make the differentiation in high school football, whether the face mask penalty is intentional or unintentional. I think in college there's a 5-yard difference in the penalty. But you could see Link look at the referee immediately and just almost beg forgiveness.
Yeah, they had, there was 4 of them back there for Pikeville that time, and it looked like, I don't know what Elkhorn City had a slot over to the left, and really did not work well for them at all, but it comes out a big, well, they marked off 15 from the place that the face mask occurred, Neil.
I think it's an automatic first down, however. Well, the last few times that Eisenhoff has gone back to pass for Elkhorn, Chuck, he has really seen a really tough Pikeville rush. He's had very little time to throw the ball or set up or sprint one way or the other.
Maybe he's going to have to scramble with it like he did earlier. Dropping straight back really causes a lot of problems for him. Regular backfield for the Cougars. Eisenhoff, the quarterback. Handoff straight up the middle. And that was Addington, number 35, the ball carrier.
Looked like Link Ritz was the first Pikeville defender in on the tackle, joined by a host of defenders.
You know, I'm confused because I thought that was an automatic first down, and now they're showing. I'm really surprised.
I am too. They did mark it first down, but they didn't move the chains on the ball marker.
I'm totally confused on that one. They've got me.
Me too.
Okay, man in motion, Hunt. Back to pass, Eisenhoff rolling out to his right, looks, throws over here to Hunt, and ooh, what a tackle. I tell you what, we'll remember that one.
Dwayne Elkins virtually separated the receiver from the ball.
He's still down.
Just as he caught it, Dwayne Elkins really hit him hard, Chuck.
Well, that's, there's no way to protect yourself, Neil, and you played back there in college. You played that defensive back position where you could come up and hit people like that, and really they're defenseless, aren't they?
They are. A good receiver will never see that defender because he's keeping his eye on the football, and he's got his hands stretched upwards and his rib cage is wide open, and that's where Dwayne caught that Elkhorn receiver right in the chest or rib cage area, and he hit him hard, and he went down immediately, and he's still down, Chuck. Let's hope he's okay.
That was, he's all right. He's up, and he's ready.
That was number 20, James Hunt, for Elkhorn City. He must be pretty tough because he is excited.
I think he's excited, but I believe he'll remember that one.
I'm sure he will. The next time he flares out to the right, rather than look for the ball, he may look for Dwayne Elkins.
I know I would. Okay, 3rd and 2 for the Cougars. They may run with it this time. Eisenhoff, man in motion there, no call, and that was just busted up. That was no good at all there.
That was a quick look-in pass to the right end, Chuck, and the linebacker held his position well and stayed right in there. That last play, by the way, that Dwayne Elkins made is a good example of the dual responsibility that those defensive ends have on the pass and the rush. And boy, Dwayne just played that superbly. He dropped back in his zone area and then came up on the pass and just made a great play.
Danny Mullins and Robbie Wright back deep for Pikeville. There's the punt over towards Wright. Wright lets it bounce, and then he takes it on about the 17-yard line, trying to get up the sidelines, almost a clip there, and Robbie knocked out of bounds on about the 27, 28-yard line.
He was trying to get to the wall outside, Chuck, but it simply wasn't there. I think Robbie, of course, again, it's so easy to see these plays develop from up here in the press box, but had he cut inside of that last defender, he might have gotten some yardage, but he tried to get outside where the wall was set up. Had he gotten by that last defender, he might have gone for the touchdown.
Yeah, that was really the only defender over there that nobody was able to block. Okay, Pikeville wide receivers both sides of the field. I formation. Benson calling the signals. There's a snap. There's a handoff right up in the middle. That's Rowe, and that's a face mask there, Neil.
No question about it. An obvious face mask on number 74. We don't have the name of that Elkhorn defender, but Robbie was on his way down. Again, an unnecessary face mask penalty, but so obvious. He grabbed him right by the face mask and pulled him on down to the ground, and the referee couldn't help but see that one.
Robbie had picked up about 7 yards on that carry. A good run by Robbie. Now the referees, and I wonder sometimes why they even need to talk with him on a situation like this.
Well, that's an automatic penalty on that infraction. I really don't know either why they talk to the captains. They're going to walk off the penalty regardless of what the captain has to say.
Well, that's a big one, 15 yards from the point it happened, and that was 7 and 15. That was a 22-yard gain, Neil.
Turned a 7-yard pickup into a 22-yard game, and a big one for Pikeville, moving them out to the 47-yard line.
Okay, Pikeville only 3 yards shy of Elkhorn City territory. Wishbone this time for Pikeville. There's a snap. Handoff for Robbie Rowe, the ball carry out to pretty close to the 50.
I noticed Elkhorn City also plays this wide tackle 6, but they pull their outside backs back a little further than Pikeville does. As I mentioned in the Cumberland game, I think Jerry Claiborne, the head coach of the University of Kentucky, who runs a wide tackle 6, has tried to persuade all the high schools to run it also.
And that was Danny Mullins, the ball carrier that time, instead of Robbie Rowe. I formation for Pikeville. Pinson with it. Handoff. That's Mahan with it. He gets across the 50 down to about the 47 or 48-yard line of Elkhorn City. So Pikeville in Cougar territory will have it third down and about 3 or 4 yards to go for a first down.
Chuck, Coach Howard must feel that the line of Pikeville simply is superior to Elkhorn's. Pikeville had the ball in 3 possessions, and we have not seen them go outside of tackle yet.
Sure haven't. Everything has been inside the tackle. I formation again for Pikeville, same way. That's Mullins with it. He gets down near the first down. It's going to be awful close.
Depends on the mark, where they mark the ball.
Now you may be shy of it. Yeah, not quite a yard, maybe a half yard to go, Neil, and Pikeville may go for it here. Their defense have been playing real well, so they may go for it.
They came up to the line of scrimmage in that full house I formation, Chuck, appearing that they would go for it, and they've called a timeout.
Okay, with that timeout, we'd like to remind you that this broadcast brought to you by Log Cabin Restaurant, owned and operated by Jimmy Blair. And Neil, it's a fine place to eat, and you get a lot of good food over there.
Yes, it is. I've eaten many a good meal at Jimmy's establishment. Excellent service and excellent food. And we certainly appreciate his sponsorship of this football game, and I'm sure that the viewers do also.
Okay, you think Pikeville here is going to go for the first down, or are they going to try to go for their long count like they did against Cumberland?
I think they'll go for the first down, Chuck. They've been so dominant from tackle to tackle. And as we can see here, they're going to measure to see how far they have to go for the first down. I would expect that it would be about 2 feet, maybe even less.
It would be embarrassing if they made it for the referees, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would.
It's about a foot, isn't it?
About a foot to go. I'm sure Pikeville will go for it. Sometimes that long snap can backfire on you, particularly if you are set to run the play. If you're just going to bark the signal and not run the play at all, it's not so risky. But I look for Pikeville to run on their usual count and run inside the tackles and go for the first down.
Okay, I look for Robbie Rowe to be the ball carrier. They're in the power I. Robbie Rowe is the back man.
Again, we haven't seen Keith Washington tonight. He's on the sidelines, but he hasn't been in the football game.
Well, we got some games coming up that he's definitely going to have to be in there.
If Pikeville stays in control of this game, I don't think we'll see Keith.
Okay, that's Robbie Rowe, like we said with it. He's got the first down. He picks up about 2 yards. So Pikeville will have it first down and 10 on about the 43-yard line of Elkhorn City. 43 yards away from pay dirt. Pikeville leading 6-0 at 1:41 to go in the first quarter.
We have an Elkhorn City player injured and on the ground, one of their defensive linemen, Chuck. We can't see his number from here. The officials have surrounded him. He is up on his own before the trainer could even get to him.
What are they doing measuring? Well, they've marked that different than what I saw. He ran that thing about 2 yards, I thought. I am amazed. He still got the first down, but it ended up being close, Neil, and he picked up 2 yards.
I can't understand that either. They had signaled first down before the Elkhorn player was seen to have been injured, and then they measured it. It was close.
Sure was. Nose of the football is not on the 33. We'll call it the 34-yard line. Pikeville I formation. Pinson takes it. Drops back to pass. Got a man out there. He's open. And bingo, gets nailed at about the 28, 29-yard line. And was that Chad Helvey or?
No, that was Danny Coleman.
Okay,
Chuck.
Danny Coleman.
Gene had a hard time getting his hands on the ball from the snap, but he got back and regained his composure, had control of the ball, and threw a beautiful pass.
Sure did. Well thrown. And that surprised the Elkhorn City Cougars. Pikeville, as Neil had mentioned earlier, running everything inside the tackles, and all of a sudden they come up there with a pass play.
Gene threw that ball with a lot of authority and a lot of confidence, and that's really very encouraging.
Okay, I formation again for Pikeville. There's the snap. Handoff, first man through.
Chuck, that was
Helvey?
Chad Helvey running the ball.
Well, I haven't seen Chad Helvey as a back yet, but
we haven't this year.
But he was quick. He hit that hole quick, Neil.
Chad, Chuck, is such a good athlete. Chad could play anywhere. He truly could play anywhere on the football field. He quarterbacked our junior high football team 4 years ago. And he's played, I think, offensive end for Pikeville the last 3 years, but he could play anywhere on the field.
Okay, he picked up about 6 yards, 2nd and 4 for Pikeville. I formation again. That's Pinson keeping it himself. Cuts back up, and he's going to be down there close to the first down.
Good call there, Chuck. The Elkhorn City defense took the fake on that play, and that wasn't surprising since Pikeville has run the ball inside on every play tonight with the exception of that one pass to Danny Coleman. And Gene got outside of the primary defense, but number 10, the defensive back for Elkhorn, came up very quickly and made a good play to turn him in and hold him to about a 3 or 4 yard gain, I think.
Okay, 3rd and about a foot to go for Pikeville. Regular backfield. There's a snap. Straight handoff to, I believe it was Rowe, and he's got the first down.
Yes, it looks as though Robbie picked up 3 or 4 yards on that play.
Unless Pikeville scores on this play, we'll have to march to the other end of the field to see the touchdown because the clock is at 29 seconds. They've got to stop to move the chain. This may be the last play we'll get off here before the first quarter comes to an end. Pinson under center. There's the snap. There's the pitch. That's ooh, nowhere to go. Good defense by the Cougars.
Caught from behind by John Ruth, a 5'10", 165-pound senior. Looked like he came from the nose guard position and caught Robbie from behind and then got some assistance from a defensive tackle.
Okay, that's the end of the first quarter. Pikeville 6, Elkhorn City nothing.
You on pause?
You know,
No. Your belly did.
that's part of me.
Okay, 3 seconds, go.
Yeah. Okay, Pikeville with it. 2nd down and about 13 or 14, well, let's call it 14 yards to go for the first down. They'll have to get inside the 10-yard line for a first down. 6-0 in favor of Pikeville. There's a snap. And a mix-up there. Neil Pinson ready to hand off, and
I don't think Gene could find the back to which he was to hand the ball. He tried to make a couple of fakes, and it appeared like all of his backs had either gone wide of the intended hole, or else Gene was a little mixed up.
Pikeville a little having problems there in the backfield. Brings up a 3rd down, 14 yards to go. Maybe a passing situation here. Pinson under center. Drops back to pass, and he gets a rush. Now he throws it out here and way underthrown. Looks like he's having trouble handling it, Neil. You mentioned that earlier.
Coming off the snap, Gene doesn't seem to have the ball under control, but, you know, on that play, Chuck, he did an excellent job of getting loose from the Elkhorn tackler who seemed to have had him in the backfield, and once he did that, he had plenty of time. And we've seen Gene do that before this year. He makes a move to get open to throw the ball, and then he rushes it anyway, and he did that time, threw the ball into the ground, had a receiver wide open.
Okay, Mark Williams going to be trying a field goal, let's see, from the 25, be a 35-yard field goal attempt. That's pretty far, Neil. 35 yards. kick is up, and it's not going to be long enough, is it? No, it's off to the left. It was long enough.
It was long enough. It was just wide left.
Not a bad kick at all by Mark Williams, but Elkhorn City will take over. The defense has held. Pikeville on top 6-0, and really right there, Neil, Pikeville had an opportunity to really break this game wide open, and that's got to fire the Cougars up and make them think that they can play with Pikeville.
That's right. Again, you give a team like this a little encouragement, and suddenly they think they can beat you, and that can do wonders for an underdog sometimes. Pikeville really got in trouble on that 1st and 10 when Robbie lost 4 yards on that dive to the left of the line, and they put him in a 2nd and 14 situation from which they never recovered.
Okay, Mitch Eisenhoff, the quarterback for the Elkhorn City Cougars, calling the signals. Both ends standing up for Elkhorn. Down and ready. Eisenhoff pitches on the option, and I can't tell who it is. I believe that was Looney. He had some running room over there.
Yes, he did. Robbie Rowe got caught just a little inside, and I think Looney had more speed than Robbie. And when Robbie tried to make the play, Looney just ran outside of him and picked up about 8 yards.
I couldn't really see the ball carrier. They did announce that was Looney, and the reason I thought it was Looney because he's 6'1", 175. I thought he'd be quicker than Addington, who's 5'10" and 200. And I guessed and got it.
You did. That was a good judgment.
And Hunt has not, he hasn't run the ball any. He's been the man in motion and been a kind of a safety for the quarterback in case if he gets in trouble that he can throw to. Cougars on the attack, going to have it 2nd down, about 3 yards to go. 7-yard pickup by Anthony Looney. There's the handoff, 2nd man, trying to get outside, and he does not get anywhere. Maybe he lost 2 yards.
Big play that time, Chuck, by number 9, Dwayne Elkins. On a 2nd and 3 through Looney for a 2 or 3 yard gain, which will give Elkhorn a 3rd down and 5 yards to go now.
Well, that was Looney again, and this time he loses about 2 or 3 yards. So a 3rd down and about 6 to go for the Cougars. 10:44 to go in the 2nd quarter. Pikeville 6, Elkhorn City nothing. Wide receivers both sides. A slot out to the left. Eisenhoff takes it, drops straight back. Now he's got to scramble with it. Pikeville chased him. He looks, and he's not going to get anywhere. He gets nailed down around the 10-yard line. Neil, and Pikeville, when they rush, they've got some really some quick people that get after those quarterbacks.
They certainly do, Chuck. They look so much better on the rush now than they did the first game and a half that they've played this year. They were a little slow in the Wheelwright game, and they seem to be a little confused. Of course, that had a lot to do with the Maggard boy in the Cumberland game.
Okay, a 4th down and about 25 yards to go. The Cougars have to kick it away. A much better kick this time for him. Robbie Lowe lets it bounce. Taken by Robbie Wright. We've got a flag, maybe a clip, Neil. Wright trying to get outside. He gets out there. Now down the sidelines. Wright still on his feet. And finally knocked out of bounds on about the 30-yard line or 32-yard line. But we've got a flag, and that may be problems.
I saw the flag, but I didn't see the penalty, Chuck. I'm sure it's against Pikeville because it was thrown in the secondary, in the receiving area of the punt. And that's going to bring back a real nice gainer by Robbie Wright.
He must have already picked it up. I don't even see where he
threw the flag in midfield about 15 yards from the line of scrimmage. The only block that I did see where the flag was thrown was a head-on block up high. So that obviously wasn't the block that caused the penalty.
Well, you know, they're doing some strange things here. They did not, the ball, Robbie's knocked out of bounds about the 32-yard line. Now they're up around the 42 talking. So I don't know, I guess that's where the penalty occurred. That's where they're going to mark it off from. Well, that'll be a 15-yard line.
Almost right in front of us at the 40-yard line, and I didn't see any infraction.
Nothing there. It was on down toward the middle there a little bit more. Really, the only person over there, Neil, was Robbie Rowe in that area. Had let the ball bounce, and it went back to Robbie Wright.
That's right.
Blocking below the waist is the call, and Pikeville will have it on about their own 48-yard line. 1st and 10 for the Panthers. Robbie made a good run that time, Neil.
Yes, he did. He got to the wall and got outside and picked up about 15 or 20 yards. But But all for naught as the clipping penalty brings it back to the 48-yard line of Pikeville.
I formation, wide receivers, both sides of the field. Trying to look for a quick pass here. That's Chris McNamee still on his feet. A good catch there by Chris, all the way down to about the 20-yard line, maybe the 21. And Neil, a good play there. We've got an injury back here.
Boy, a very late hit on our quarterback, Gene Pinson, and I don't think any of the officials saw it. Gene is up now. He was down. I think he had the breath knocked out of him. I was real impressed with Gene on that play, Chuck. When the play first developed, Chris wasn't open. And Gene stood there and kept his composure and pumped and waited until he did get open and threw the strike. As you mentioned, a good catch by Chris and a good run.
Hey, this McNamee's going to be a good one.
He certainly is. He's one of the finer athletes I've ever seen play football here at Pikeville for a sophomore.
He's already a good one, I guess.
Yes, he is. He is indeed.
Okay, Danny Coleman wide over here to the right. Danny Mullins wide to the left. I formation for Pikeville. Rowe and Helvey back there in the backfield. And that's Robbie Rowe with it straight up the middle. He's got a lot of blocking, and he's going to go all the way from 22 yards out. Robbie Rowe takes it in for the score.
That was a beautiful draw play. It developed so well. Pikeville had wide receivers down on both sides, keeping those defensive backs on the outside, opening up that middle. They allowed the Elkhorn Cougar defense to rush from the outside, opening up the middle for Robbie, who took the draw and went downfield about 10 yards and did an excellent job of using his blockers. He waited until the last defender for Elkhorn City had to commit either to his right or left, and when he went toward the middle of the field, Robbie cut outside for the score.
Okay, Pikeville setting up to go for a two-point conversion here. I formation for the Panthers. Pinson takes it. Hands off. That's Danny Mullins, I believe, and he no place to go at all. The extra point has been denied, so Pikeville leads Elkhorn City by 12 to nothing.
Young Paul.
Boy, that was a good play. It's a good call.
That's pretty. It was. You know, it pretty draw. That was beautiful. I mean, everybody just perfect. Yeah. Even had the two blockers down there ready for him. Yeah. Well, it was perfect. That's the way you draw it.
Okay, 4 seconds, go.
Okay, Pikeville, 71, Mark Williams will be kicking off for the Pikeville High School Panthers as they lead the Elkhorn City Cougars 12 to nothing. 9-12 to go here in the first half of play. Robbie Rowe scoring on a 22-yard draw play. Set up beautifully. Bounced around there, finally picked up. I think that's 45, and I don't have that number. Still on his feet. Not a bad run there. We don't have all the Elkhorn City players, Neil. They did not give us an Elkhorn City roster, and that sure does cause problems. I really don't understand why these coaches can't give us that.
You would think they would want their players to be mentioned, but we haven't been provided with a roster of the Elkhorn City football team, only the starting offensive lineup.
I got that from Gene Davis. So Gene, when I got here, he was already talking with the Elkhorn City coach. A lot of times I do that, get here early enough to get the lineup. And Gene had done it, and so I just used his. And unfortunately, he did not have any other roster other than starters. So some kids will not get any credit.
That's right. We can call their numbers, and maybe the people who are viewing, particularly if they're Elkhorn City fans, will know who these players are. Chuck, we have a timeout on the field. I think it's an official timeout for an equipment repair. I noticed one of the Elkhorn City players is on the sidelines changing jerseys. I didn't know these high school teams could afford these tearaways anymore.
Gee whiz. No, Pikeville, a few years ago, they had some quick backs, and they wanted those tearaway jerseys, and they can make a difference.
I'm sure that they can. I don't know what the cost of those jerseys are, but I'm sure they're rather expensive, and particularly when you run through 3 or 4 a game.
They could be very expensive. Football programs are expensive, but it's a wonderful sport. Wide receivers both sides of the field for Elkhorn City. Eisenhoff drops back to pass, rolls to his right, looking, throws, got a man out there, and he drops it. Incomplete pass. Neil, he wanted to run with it before he had control of it.
Yes, he did. Chuck, that was very close to a reception and a fumble. he almost had that ball under control when he turned to run and then dropped it. I wouldn't have been at all surprised to see the officials call that a fumble. But they did call it an incomplete pass, and it was a very close call. But wide open and an excellent pass by Mitch Eisenhoff.
Hey, threw that kind of back to the inside. That would be a linebacker's ball there?
Yes, it would. Yes, that's a linebacker's area. The left linebacker should have dropped back into that zone.
Cougars with it, second down, 10 yards to go. Operating from about their own 27, 28-yard line. There's the pitch. Looney trying to get outside. He's got some speed, Neil. He gets out there and gets all the way across the 40-yard line. Well, not quite to the 40. Gets to about the 38 or 39. Should be good enough for a first down. And Looney putting on some speed there for us.
Yes, Looney has shown us a lot of speed tonight, more speed than quickness. And when I say that, I mean that he's not that fast off the ball and he doesn't move laterally that fast, but once he gets outside, he's got some good long-range speed, and he certainly illustrated that speed on that particular play.
Freddie Cox coming out for Pikeville. Also coming out there is Dwayne Elkins. Link Ritz had checked in.
On their own 37-yard line.
See Mahan over here at this end position, and I think he's got that position in that Cumberland game, didn't he, Neil?
Yes, he did, and what a fine job he's done. Pikeville has two great defensive ends in Dwayne Elkins and Brian Mahan. I think we have Chad Helvey at the left defensive end right now.
Brian's over here on the right. Okay. Back to pass is Eisenhoff. Looks, got a big rush. Dropping way back there. Now he throws. It may be picked off. And it is. Get back to me with it.
Yes, it was. That ball should have been picked off by Robbie Wright, and he went up for the interception, Chuck, and it went right through his hands.
Well, there's your tip drill.
That's exactly right. There's a good example of the tip drill. Chris didn't take his eye off the ball. He didn't relax when Robbie went up for the interception. When it went through Robbie's hands, Chris was ready and caught the ball. And good interception. That's where being where you're supposed to be will pay off.
That's exactly right. We'll go over his tip drill in just a minute. I'm sure some people don't know what that is, other than that's what you leave money under your plate at the restaurant. Okay, high formation for Pikeville. Gene Pinson hands off first man through, and
that's Chad Helvey again, Chuck.
44-yard line. Helvey showing some quickness, hits the hole real quick. Anyway, back to the tip drill, Neil. What are we talking about?
That's a drill that the defensive secondaries run, being defensive backs, Chuck, where they throw the ball to one back who intentionally tips the ball into the air so that the other defensive back can react on the ball and intercept it. And it's a good drill because it keeps you attentive when the ball is in the air, regardless of who it appears will receive it.
Okay, Pinson hands off. That's Robbie Rowe with it. He's got some running room out at the 50, about the 45, and there's piling on right there. No call. Now he starts styling. The Cougar player started that one. He piled on, but it may cost both players, Neil, because even though you're attacked, you're supposed to back off.
I'll tell you, that was a late hit, but Robbie Rowe, much as I like the kid, boy, he's a tough athlete, tough football player, and a lot of spirit, but he's going to have to learn how to control his temper a little bit, Chuck. Robbie has been guilty of that before.
He's definitely a fiery ball player. He's got a temper of, well, I'll not mention his name, but he's sitting to my left. He had a temper.
Yes.
You know that?
Well, we don't know who you're talking about either, but I think that he did.
Oh, just a little bit.
They may have thrown Robbie out of the game there.
Very possible. They may have thrown them both out, and that's what I said could happen. That's a situation like that. Even if a player comes up hitting you, you're better off backing off because that situation, they'll usually throw both players out. That could have happened.
I think they've called offsetting penalties on Elkhorn and Pikeville, so there won't be any yardage assessment either way.
Is Robbie in there? I don't think he is. Chad Helvey is back there, and Danny Mullins back in the backfield for Pikeville. So Pinson takes it, drops back to throw, looks, and did a good job there, Neil. I know he got nailed for a loss, but he did a good job.
He did in one sense by not throwing where he shouldn't have thrown, but had he looked to his left, he had his flare back, his safety valve wide open, and that was Danny Mullins. Had he been able to get that ball to Danny, Danny could have picked up some valuable yardage, Chuck.
Okay, Larry Keene sitting over here beside me. I asked him if he knew if they threw him out or not. He said he didn't think they threw him out, so We'll have to wait and see.
I saw the referee give the old heave-ho as they do in baseball, but I think he was telling Coach Howard to get back off the field.
Okay, I formation for Pikeville. Back to pass is Pinson. Looks, throws, and underthrown.
Had him wide open, Chuck. That was Chris McNamee on the press box side at about a 10 or 12-yard route. And Gene, again, rushed his throw a little bit, and he threw the ball low and behind Chris. Chris had no chance to catch the ball.
You know, watch Chris that time, and he ran a pretty good pattern, Neil, and he cut real well. He could be a dandy receiver.
Chris is a good student of the game, Chuck. He's very coachable. He listens. He does things that you tell him to do, and real fine kid.
Okay, Pikeville 12, Elkhorn City nothing.
John Paul.
I wonder what they did there. Robbie hasn't been back in the game, has he? Of course, Hillard may have taken him out too. You know,
He's still in the game, Chuck. Tell Chuck Robbie's still in the game.
Yeah. Hey, Chuck.
Yeah.
Robbie was still in the game.
Okay.
Wake up. Smell the coffee.
Did you hear
Who is
that? Who do you think it is?
Castro.
Brother Doss.
Was it?
Yeah.
Is that Roy?
Yeah. Huh?
Tell him sober up.
You want to need sober up.
What's he doing up there?
He's listening to y'all.
Oh. Well, that's his misfortune.
How much y'all paid him to do that?
He's paying us.
Oh, is he?
Yeah. Okay,
Good.
4 seconds you go.
Okay. Okay, Pikeville 12, Elkhorn City nothing. 7:03 to go in the first half. Pinson back to throw. A little screen pass over here to McNamee. He's got the football now, cuts back up the field, and has got some running room. Gets across the 30-yard line, about the 30, or 40-yard line, excuse me.
Pick up of about 10 yards, Chuck, and the play developed very well, and Gene threw the ball, and Chris caught it. Nice reception. Then he lost his footing. I thought he was going to go down, and then he regained his balance and did a fine job of using the blockers in front of him to pick up the 10-yard gain.
So Pikeville will have to punt it away, leading 12-0. Be Robbie Taylor kicking for the Pikeville High School Panthers. Pikeville short a player right now. And, well, no call.
Chuck, we didn't see
Oh, man's down right at about the 5-yard line. Looked like he caught it with his knees on the ground.
We didn't see a flag, even though Link was running on the field, because he never turned upfield. He ran east-west rather than north-south. Had he turned in toward the line of scrimmage, it would have been a procedure call.
You reckon he knew what he was doing?
No, he had no idea.
Now, you know he knew what he was doing. Oh, boy. Elkhorn City will operate deep in their own territory. Ball down around the 5 or 6 yard line, and, well, let's call it the 7-yard line, and a mistake down there could really cost the Cougars and break this game wide open.
Yes, they have 6 minutes left, Chuck, in the second quarter, and they certainly don't want to give Pikeville a touchdown here or any kind of score before the half. They're still in this football game at 12-0.
Certainly are. Wide receivers both sides of the field for the Cougars. Mitch Eisenhoff still in their quarterback. Not a good place to throw the football. There's Eisenhoff. Hands off. I believe that was Addington, the ball carrier, and he'll pick up a few yards.
I noticed, Chuck, that Hillard has put his team in somewhat of a prevent defense, and in this wide tackle 6, that would be a situation where you would drop those defensive ends off into the flat passing area rather than put them on the line of scrimmage.
Okay, what are you talking about flat? This field's flat.
Okay, the flat is known as the area from end to end outside of those ends and about 5 to 10 yards deep from the line of scrimmage. And again, going toward the sideline from either end position.
Okay, that's the flats. Second down, about 8 yards to go for the Cougars. Quick look in, and it's caught and then fumbled, but he was already down.
I think it was an incomplete pass, Chuck. I don't think the Elkhorn City player ever had control of that football.
Okay, they do rule it incomplete.
Well, they're still talking about it. They may. You're right. They do call it an incomplete pass.
So third down. I'm not even sure that's a safe pass. I guess maybe it is down there, but anything in the air down there other than the screen just doesn't seem safe to me.
Well, with your linebackers and your ends dropping off the way they are, you're right. There isn't very much that's safe.
Cougars with it. Third down, 8 yards to go. They need 8, or Pikeville's going to get it on the punt, and they should have good field position. Okay. Looney, the ball carrier, and he's not going to have the first down. He's going to maybe pick up 1 or 2 there. So Elkhorn City will have to punt it away. And I believe Pikeville's got, what, two timeouts left, I think.
I think they have 2 left, Chuck. That was an excellent defensive play by Chad Helvey that time. He penetrated the offensive line and hit Looney behind the line of scrimmage and brought him down for no gain. Maybe a loss on the play.
Mullins back there for Pikeville, and Robbie Wright. There's the punt. And that's Wright waiting on it. He takes it on the 45-yard line, trying to get upfield, and...
Oh, Chuck, had he been able to get to this side of the field, being the press box side, and get outside this wall, Pikeville had an excellent return set up for Robbie, but the ball was kicked so far to the other side of the field that he didn't have time, and Robbie really doesn't have the speed, being a young sophomore, to come across the field, get behind the wall, and take it downfield.
Yeah, it was open over here. It was really not a bad kick. He had a height on it, too.
That was a good kick. Danny Coleman nearly blocked it for Pikeville.
A 41-yard line for Pikeville, I formation. Pinson takes it. Draw play. And that's Robbie Rowe. So we know he's still in the game. He gets it to about the 40-yard line. 1-yard pickup. A flag and another flag.
Number 35 is really starting some trouble there. He shoved Robbie a couple of times, and I'm sure they've had some words.
I'll tell you what, I don't know what you say to players, but well, that's what gives coaches gray hair. You're in a game here 12-0. You're playing the number 2 ranked team in Class A, Pikeville. You're in the football game, and then you got a kid that comes up and makes a mistake like that could cost you 6 more and put you out of the game.
Well, that is a terrible situation, Chuck. Number 35, who is Hackey Addington for Elkhorn City, we watched the entire play, and he was not at all provoked by Robbie. It was a good hit. The 2 boys met. Robbie went down after about a 5-yard gain, and the Addington kid, again, totally without provocation, just pushed Robbie and appeared that he was about to swing at him and had a few words with him, and it was a good call by the officials.
Okay, it'll be on the 28-yard line, so a big pickup for Pikeville, and they've got 4:27 to score in the first half. Pikeville 12, Elkhorn City nothing, and we've got a timeout by Elkhorn.
Okay, you're on pause.
I'd say coach wanted that timeout to dock them, so let's not make any more dumb mistakes like that.
4 minutes left. Now they got the ball at 25
they're
yard
in the
line.
football game.
Oh, yeah, sure they are. Got another score, and they're not.
That's right. All the difference in the world right there. So all they had to do was keep it 12-0, come out. And...
What do you say, my man? No, but I appreciate it. You're a good fella. You want to sing a song
hurt his
for us
knee?
during the break?
Huh?
How about riding in my tar for the fans on the TV? When the game's about over, maybe? Instead of the fat lady singing, we'll have Byron singing Riding in My Tar. Well, check with us later.
Who's the fat lady?
Things may get a little dull. We're not on the air right now, but when we are, I talk into this, and people on TV hear us. No, I'm on TV. That's right. It's upstairs.
Upstairs.
They don't see us. We're too ugly, and we told them you were coming by, and they said, no camera shots.
Okay, give yourself 4 seconds to go.
Okay.
Check back with me. I want something later.
Okay, Pikeville 12, Elkhorn City nothing. 4:27 to go in the first half. And the Pikeville High School Panthers have the ball down around the, let's see, it's about the 22-yard line. First and 10 for Pikeville, 22 yards away from pay dirt, maybe putting this one away. Gene Pinson under center, takes it, hands off. That's Chad Helvey with it, trying to get outside. Or that'd be McNamee.
I think that was Chad Helvey, Chuck. Not showing a whole lot of speed. Chad has a lot of strength and a lot of quickness, but overall speed, he simply doesn't have that much.
Yeah, he seems to be more effective running straight up the middle where he hits the hole real quick because he is lacking some speed.
Right. He is more effective up the middle. Chad's a very strong individual.
Okay, it's the 19-yard line, so that's a gain of 3. I formation for Pikeville. Pinson takes a snap, hands off to Rowe, and he'll pick up maybe a couple of yards.
With 4:11 left, Chuck, Pikeville has plenty of time to stay on the ground and score. There's no need for them to panic, although they have a 3rd and about 5 now, and we may see them put the ball in the air. But with the time left and the ball positioning they don't have to worry about the fourth down situation. They have 2 downs to pick up this first down.
Right, I formation for Pikeville. Pinson throws, and pretty close to interference. Now the flag goes.
Well, Chuck,
it's a real close call.
That was a good call for Pikeville, but trying to be objective, I think it was a bad call. I think the ball had already been thrown behind Danny, and I think it had passed him when the Elkhorn City player made contact with Danny. It was a fairly good play, although Danny was open. A good pass would have been a reception. But I really thought the call was a poor call by the official.
Well, obviously in college or pro, that's going to go as a no call.
Certainly, no question about it.
So Pikeville, Elkhorn City making 2 crucial mistakes here late in the second quarter may really cost them.
I'm sure that the Elkhorn City coach is very upset. He probably doesn't like that call at all, but the fact that 2 infractions have given Pikeville 25 yards on this drive, Chuck.
Okay, it's on the 10-yard line. First and goal to go for Pikeville from the 10-yard line. I formation for the Panthers. There's a snap. That's Rowe, straight up in the middle. Gets to about the 9, maybe the 8-yard line. You know, the Cougars, Neil, inside defensively, they play pretty good.
They do. They play tough. They're quick and they're aggressive. They tackle very well. They have good fundamentals. I think they're just a little outmanned on the line of scrimmage, though, Chuck, and that's where their deficiency is.
Okay, 3:21 to go. Second and goal from the 8-yard line, so it was a pickup of 2 yards. On the option, Pinson keeps it, cuts up in, gets inside the 5 to about the 4-3.
Real nice move by Gene Pinson, Chuck. He optioned that end, and when the end committed to the outside, he cut up and picked up about 4 or 5 yards, very near to the goal line, I think. Looks like he's on about the 2.5-yard line, maybe.
So you're about right. We'll call it the 3 if it's 2.5. So from 3 yards out, Pikeville will have it third down. They've got 2 plays to get it over from here, and thinking as talented and as big as line that Pikeville has, Neil, they ought to be able to push it over from 3 yards out with 2 plays.
This is very crucial for both teams. If Elkhorn City can hold, they can go to the half with a 12-point deficit. If Pikeville scores, they may really sew this game up.
Pinson on the keeper, and he doesn't. Yep, he gets in.
Great second effort, second and third effort. Gene was hit 3 or 4 times and wouldn't give up. He kept his feet and kept driving and landed in the end zone about a foot across the goal line for Pikeville's third touchdown with 2:27 left in the first half. Gene Pinson on the quarterback sneak.
Okay, Pikeville, let's see, will probably line up for another 2-point conversion. Pikeville, no extra points tonight on their 3 scores.
You know, Chuck, I keep saying this, but Pikeville's going to get in the game somewhere down the road with a tough competitor where these extra points are really going to hurt.
Yeah, they're going to be very crucial somewhere. Gene Pinson, back to pass. Throws, got a man over there, and he's got it.
I've got a golfer in front of me who's blocking my vision. Dr. Valera.
Brian Mahan comes up with the reception from Gene Pinson, and Pikeville leads 20-0.
I don't care who it was for or against.
You're on pause.
Staff, did you pick up my conversation with Dr. Mulligan there?
No.
Good.
Okay, give yourself 4 seconds to go.
Where are we going? Okay, Pikeville kicking off to the Cougars. Be Mark Williams doing the kicking. Waiting for the whistle. Neil, give him a signal. Tell him to go on.
If I could whistle loud enough, there we go.
All you had to do was talk. Good high kick, but short, taken on about the 22-yard line. And on the stop there for Pikeville, 43 will be Stephen Justice to make the stop for the Panthers.
Steve is one of your real good special teams players for Pikeville. He's a 150-pound sophomore defensive back, and he made some big plays in that Cumberland game and played a good game last week against Wheelwright. He's not on the starting offensive defensive unit, but he's one of those kids that really contributes on his special team efforts. When we talk about special teams, Chuck, for the people that don't understand that term, those are the punting teams, the kickoff teams, both receiving and kicking teams. Those squads that are on the field when nobody really has possession.
Yeah, some of those people are real daredevils.
Yes, they are. And Steve's one of them. He'll sacrifice his body, so to speak, to make a good play.
Now, Elkhorn City's taken the penalty, and, they had the ball on about the 33-yard line, so we'll see how this comes out for them. Pikeville will drop back 5 yards and kick it from the 35-yard line.
I'm surprised, Chuck, that we don't see Looney in the football game for Elkhorn City, who is appears to be their best running back.
I thought he was the fastest one they had. I don't know.
I'm sure that he is.
Mark Williams will kick it again. They had it on the 32 or 33, so we'll see how the decision was. One thing for sure, they lost some time, valuable time that Elkhorn City needs. Williams approaches the ball, booms it. Much better kick this time, back to about the 15-yard line. Straight up the center of the field, and he's got some yardage, trying to get outside, still on his feet. Breaks loose for about, 5, 10, 15, 20, about 25-yard return there, Neil.
Real nice return by Monthly Hawkston. We've seen that kid on other punt returns and kickoff returns. He's got a lot of speed. But, Chuck, they line him up outside wide as a receiver in this Elkhorn attack, and not being able to throw the ball very much tonight, we haven't seen much of him.
No, and he looks like he's a pretty good athlete.
I think if I had a kid like that, I'd put him in that backfield and let him carry that ball on occasion.
Okay, 1st and 10 from the 40-yard line, Elkhorn City's own 40. We've got 2:12 to go in the first half of play. Pikeville 20, Elkhorn City nothing. Wide receivers both sides of the field for Elkhorn. Eisenhoff straight up the middle on the keeper, and he thought he saw a hole, but it wasn't there, Neil. He picks up maybe 1 or 2.
If it were there, it closed pretty quickly. He may have seen something there, Chuck, but Pikeville reacted so quickly on their defensive front that he was lucky to pick up the yard that he did, and it was a tough yard.
Okay, Elkhorn City have it 2nd down, 8 yards to go. The clock definitely not in the Cougars' favor, but they do have time. They may have another timeout left, too. I look for them to put it in the air.
Well, I'm sure Pikeville will be playing somewhat of a prevent defense, although they do have their defensive ends up on the line of scrimmage, but their backs are very deep.
Okay, man in motion, 2 men in motion. Finally a flag. Quarterback Eisenhoff throws the bomb. It's out there. Maybe picked off. Oh, good defense set by McNamee's really got a head for the ball, Neil.
He does. He's got a great nose for it, and that's what you like to see in a free safety back there. He breaks on the ball real well. He goes up for the ball. He got a hand on that ball, Chuck, but couldn't quite hang on for the interception.
I think this will be motion against Elkhorn City, Neil, and I'm sure Pikeville will decline it.
I don't think, Chuck, I'm not certain, but I don't think you can have more than one man in motion in high school. And they had a mix-up in the Elkhorn City backfield. And they had the 2 wide backs going in motion toward one another on different counts, and I think that's what drew the flag from the official.
Really, the only man we've seen go in motion that was the Hunt boy, and that's been his job back. He hasn't even carried the football.
No, he hasn't touched it that I can recall.
Well, he touched it one time and got killed on a pass.
Well, that's right. That's when Dwayne Elkins leveled him.
It's not been a good evening for him.
No.
Okay, Elkhorn City, wide receivers both sides of the field, split backs. Eisenhoff calling the signals, and that looked like Elkhorn City raised up there, but
I think
Pikeville
they did.
Across.
I think Elkhorn raised up and drew Pikeville across. Elkhorn doesn't seem to have their first team unit in right now. I don't know if they, surely they haven't surrendered this early. It's still in the first half, and they're down 20-0. But some of their better players that we've noticed tonight are not in the game right now.
Well, it will be against Elkhorn City, a 5-yard penalty. So it'll bring up 3rd down and 13. Neil, on that bomb a minute ago, I believe Eisenhoff threw the ball as far as he could throw it, and I don't think they're capable of a bomb.
No, I don't think so either, Chuck. He did seem to hurdle that ball just as hard, just as far as he could throw it, and the ball traveled about 25 yards.
Okay, Elkhorn City, once again, wide receivers, both sides. Eisenhoff takes it. Handoff this time. And hit in the backfield, and Addington, the ball carrier, may have lost a yard or right back to the line of scrimmage. 4th down, Elkhorn City. I have to punt it away. Pikeville will get it at 108 to go. Clock running now, 105.
You can look for Pikeville to set up a return on this punt rather than rush the kicker. With 1 minute left, Chuck, if they can get a good return and get down here to the Elkhorn 40 or 30-yard line, they could have an opportunity to get another score before the half ends.
Okay, there's a snap, and there's the kick. Almost blocked. Goes out of bounds. Terrible kick.
Very nearly blocked by number 11 for Pikeville. That would be Brian Cox. And Danny Coleman was also all over the punter. I don't know how that punter got that ball off, Chuck.
He kept his composure real well and went ahead and kicked it. They're coming back up this way. I don't know. We've got I see now a flag over there on the left side of the field. We do have, now they say no flag.
I think what the flag was for was to mark the point at which the ball went out of bounds on the punt, Chuck. And the waving by the official at the center of the field of the flag was indicating that there was a no flag, in other words, no infraction.
Okay, Pikeville, 40 yards to go, Neil, 45 seconds. They can do it, and nothing else. You know, if they pick up about 25 yards and get in the center of the field, Mark Williams has shown us that he's got the toe to kick it from at least 30 or 35 yards out. Yes,
that 35-yard attempt was plenty long enough. It was wide left. So they may try to pass a couple of times and get the ball down within field goal range for Mark.
Pinson needs this experience here, too, Neil, throwing the football.
Yes, he does. He does indeed.
Pikeville 20, Elkhorn City nothing. 45 seconds to go in the first half of play. Pikeville seems to be on their way for win number 4. Elkhorn City looks like they're on their way to drop 2-2. Next week, we remind you that we've got Pikeville and Whitesburg playing another home game. 5 straight homes. Okay, there's the pass play, overthrown. Danny Coleman, the intended receiver, he was open, Neil.
Yes, he was, and again, Gene seemed to have had plenty of time. He just rushed the pass a little, Chuck, and overthrew him.
Well, there's his number 1 receiver, I will call him, coming in, Chris McNamee now.
Chris is a big target for a high school quarterback. They have him listed at 5'11", but I've been around Chris. I know him very well, and I think Chris is a good 6 feet, maybe 6'1".
Okay, Pinson to throw out here to McNamee. He juggled it around, just could not hang on to it. It's a little, I guess you call the Bob Hayes pass there, Neil.
I think they do call it the Bob Hayes pass. They throw the ball out to Chris and let the lineman pull out to the right and set up blocks for him. But that ball was thrown a little high, Chuck. That ball should have been lofted out there very easily for Chris. He was wide open.
That's a situation there, too. You need that one-on-one coverage over there where he's only got 1 man to beat. And Elkhorn City had 2 defenders over there.
Yes, that ideally is set up for a one-on-one coverage.
Okay, I formation for Pikeville. Pinson to throw it. He throws it long. Intended receiver is Danny Coleman, and he could not get to it. Not a bad throw that time.
That's one of the better throws that we've seen Gene make this season, really. The ball was thrown just a little inside of Danny, but it was thrown long enough and over the Elkhorn defender. Had Danny been able to move back toward the middle, we could have seen a touchdown pass there.
We may see Pikeville go for it here, Neil, on 4th and 10. Elkhorn City would have to go 60 yards, and from what we saw from Eisenhoff, it'd take him 2 or 3 passes to get that far.
Yes, it would. I think we will see Pikeville go for it on 4th and 10. This is good practice for them, and I don't think that it's going to jeopardize their lead.
Okay, Pinson back to pass. Looks, throws a screen over here intended for Robbie Rowe, and it may have been set up real well if he had caught it. But it goes as an incomplete pass, and Elkhorn City will take over on their own 40-yard line, 1st and 10, at about 28 seconds to go in the first half.
That's the kind of pass, Chuck, that you wouldn't see in a very close ball game. There were a lot of different colored jerseys in the vicinity of the pass, and the ball could have easily been picked off or could have been caught by Robbie, but it fell incomplete. Elkhorn will have the ball 1st and 10 on their own 40 with 28 seconds remaining in the first half.
Okay, wide receivers, both sides, split backs. Eisenhoff under center, drops straight back. Goes, he's got plenty of time this time. Throws, got a man open there, and he gets it on about the 40-yard line, a pickup of about 20.
That receiver for Elkhorn City looked awfully good, Chuck. Number 1, we don't have him listed anywhere on our starting lineup roster that they provided us.
He did a good job. He went down and he was really on the 35 and came back toward the football.
what he did was sneak down deep beyond the coverage for the linebackers and then come back underneath or in front of the defensive backs where there was an opening. That was an excellent route that he ran and a good pass by Mitch Eisenhoff.
Okay, 18 seconds to go. Elkhorn City behind by 20-0. They need to score desperately here before the half or it's about all over for them.
I'm sure that Elkhorn is not looking forward to coming out and beginning the second half with a 20-0 deficit, Chuck.
You know, Pikeville thus far has not shut anybody out, Neil, and I think they need a shutout.
I think they do too, but you know, also the last three games in the first half of this Elkhorn City game, Chuck, I get the impression that Pikeville has really improved on their defense, and particularly with their secondary, their pass coverage.
I agree with you. 18 seconds is all that remains in the first half of play. Elkhorn City trying to get on track here. Pikeville defense trying to hold them. Thus far, it's been a shutout. 20 for Pikeville, nothing for Elkhorn City. Eisenhoff drops back to pass again. Got a big rush. Now he's going to run with it. He's got some room. Eisenhoff still on his feet and dragged from behind on about the 32-yard line. A pickup of about 8. So Elkhorn City calls another timeout, and I believe that's our last one. That comes at 9 seconds to go.
Well, Chuck, that was an excellent defensive play by Sean Neely, a 6-foot, 200-pound freshman lineman who ran Eisenhoff down from behind and dragged him down.
Neely's a competitor. It's going to be a good one, only a freshman. He's one of the holdbacks.
He does some kicking for the varsity when Mark Williams isn't in.
Right. Matter of fact, Sean Neely kicked, I think, 3 extra points against who'd we open up with? Fleming Neon.
Right. He kicked some against Wheelwright last week, too, Chuck. I haven't seen him in a football game kicking the ball as a punter this year, but I've seen Sean kick in practice, and I would say when Robbie Taylor graduates this year that we'll see. I'm sorry, Robbie will be back next year, but I think still Sean will give him a lot of competition at the punting position.
Okay, this Elkhorn City may get this play off and possibly another one if it's thrown incomplete here. Eisenhoff from about 30 yards out is capable of throwing the ball down to about maybe the 5-yard line or near the end zone. Long count receivers all over the place. There's a quick one out there. And no good.
I'm surprised at that call, Chuck. There was no chance for that play, even had it been a completion, to gain any significant yardage for them with 6 seconds left in the football game.
If he would have caught it and ran any length of time, the clock would have run out. And really, when you're down to no timeouts to go, you got to go toward the end zone with it.
Yes, you do. What I would do if I were Elkhorn, I would throw the ball very deep, and even if it didn't get into the end zone, you can always possibly get a pass interference call.
Right.
And that would take the ball down near the goal line, and you can't stop the, you can't end a half on a penalty.
Right, and an interception doesn't matter. So, you know, they're really not taking any risk there.
No, they're not.
Wide receivers, both sides. Look for Eisenhoff to throw a long one this time. Eisenhoff drops straight back, trying to get in there on the rush, and he throws a short one over the middle. So he was wrong about that. Still 1 second to go, and I've got to believe he's going to throw this one long.
Well, like you say, hardly any risk involved when you're down 20-0 and 1 second remaining on the clock. You would think that they will throw as deep as they can on this play.
The best point that you made of all, Neil, was the half cannot end on a penalty, and if they get that interference call, they'd have an opportunity to score.
Even on this play.
Right. Slot right, wide receivers, both sides. Eisenhoff drops straight back. Now he rolls to the right a little bit. Looks. Now he throws it. He threw that one a little bit longer, but it is tipped around and incomplete. And that's the end of the first half. Pikeville 20, Elkhorn City nothing.
You're on, Paul.
10-4, bye.
Where are you going? You got fathers or mothers. You gonna do that? Chuck.
At this time, I will please hold your applause till all names of the players and parents are mentioned. And then at the end of then I'll tell you when you can applaud, okay?
Working better if you heat it, Stan?
Your flashlight. We'll get your wires on the bottom.
Ready?
of a sudden. It's one of those freak plays, and it occurred on the outside of the Pikeville offensive line, and when the Elkhorn City defender took control of the ball, there was no one at all in front of him. A good job of Gene Pinson to run him down and to give his teammates an opportunity to catch up with the ball carrier and prevent the touchdown.
Our best offensive series of the evening ends up in disaster, really.
That was indeed our best offensive series thus far.
Okay, Elkhorn City with it. Eisenhoff drops back to pass. Looks. Tries to get loose, and he does. And now throws one. He's got a man out there, but overthrown.
Good scrambling by Eisenhoff, and by the time he got free, the Pikeville secondary had broken down, allowing number 25, Monthly Hawkston, to get behind all of Pikeville's defenders, but the ball was overthrown by Eisenhoff.
Okay, it'll be a second down and 10 to go. Looks like Elkhorn City, Neil, has decided to come out here in the second half, putting the ball in the air.
Well, they don't have anything to lose. They're down 20-0, and I think they've shown in the first half that they're not going to score any points on the ground. They're going to have to put the ball in the air, Chuck.
Okay, Eisenhoff still calling the signals. I formation. There's a snap in, there's a handoff, and he loses a yard or two.
Great play by Robbie Rowe coming in from his linebacker position. They must have had a blitz on Pikeville did on that play, Chuck, and Robbie penetrated the offensive line and hit the back in the Elkhorn backfield.
Okay, 8:56 to go, third quarter. Pikeville 20, Elkhorn City nothing. Cougars with it. Third down and about 12 yards to go for a first down. Obvious passing situation here. Wishbone set up this time. Back to pass is Eisenhoff. He's got a man out there, throws short, incomplete, and Elkhorn will have to kick it away.
Eisenhoff tried to guide that ball instead of throw it, Chuck, and sort of like a fella throwing a shot put instead of really releasing. And consequently, he threw the ball very short.
Robbie Wright and Danny Mullins back deep for Pikeville. There's a snap. It's low. The kick is up. And short. Mahan called a fair catch. No, Robbie Rowe, I'm sorry, called a fair catch. And Pikeville will have, let's see, Neil, 26, I believe, isn't it? 25.
Yes, it is on the 25-yard line off Pikeville. Well, maybe they can pick back up where they left off. They did have a really good offensive drive on their first possession, only to fumble on about the Elkhorn 20-yard line.
We've only had maybe one or two big gainers tonight, and one of them there, Mahan got, and the other one, I believe, Robbie Rowe on that, was it a draw play?
Yeah, that draw play that went for about 30 yards for the second Pikeville touchdown.
Everything else has been kind of grinded out. Okay, here's the play right up in the middle.
Chad Helvey again, Chuck. This is the first time I've seen Chad operate out of the offensive backfield since his 8th grade year. When he played quarterback for the junior high football team. But Chad's a very talented athlete, and as I've mentioned earlier, he can do a lot of things.
As long as he runs between tackles, he's done a fine job. He had problems once trying to get outside, but done a good job inside tackle.
Not a breakaway threat.
Okay, regular backfield for Pikeville. Pinson on the option, keeps it himself, and he's tackled on about the 30-yard line. Maybe 1-yard pickup.
We may see Pikeville go outside or even go to the air on this play, Chuck, with a third down and 4 from their from their 30-yard line.
Okay, third down for Pikeville. Like Danny Coleman checking in and Chris McNamee coming out.
Elkhorn's defense has played well in spurts, but they've broken down at crucial times to enable Pikeville to put 20 points on the board tonight.
Danny Coleman wide to the right. Robbie Rowe is wide left. I formation. Pinson to throw it on that quick look in and incomplete. Link Rich, the intended receiver. That was run kind of strange. I thought it was going to be a look in, but it ended up being more outside, Neil.
Well, what they did, they faked the look in, Chuck, and ran they had a wide receiver out running the look in, or a flanker, and had the tight end, which was lined up that time, it was Link Rich, delaying for a moment and then cutting out into the flat or the left side. Ball was just a little overthrown.
Okay, Robbie Taylor ready to kick for Pikeville. There's a snap, a good snap. And the kick is partially blocked. And it's going to land on the, takes a good Pikeville bounce, another good bounce. Ended up being a pretty good kick. Really Neil, after that hit on the almost the 40 here and ends up on the other 40.
Turns out to be a 35-yard kick for what looked to be a shank or a partial block. But as you mentioned, an excellent bounce for Pikeville.
I can understand the shanks. I've had them before. I can identify with that problem.
Haven't we all?
Okay, the Cougars behind 20-0 at 6:48 to go in the third quarter. They'll be operating from their own 40-yard line.
Pikeville still going with their first unit, Chuck.
Regular backfield. There's the pitch. That's Hunt with it.
Well, that was good defense by Pikeville. Dwayne Elkins, the defensive end, came across the line of scrimmage and then pitched the play inside very aggressively and caused the running back for Elkhorn to turn upfield where he was met by Pikeville's linebacker and defensive back.
That's James Hunt. I believe that's the first time he's carried the ball.
Real good ball player.
5'10", 175, and a senior for Elkhorn City. Their backfield consists of 2 seniors and 2 juniors. Eisenhoff takes it. Little razzle-dazzle. Eisenhoff pitched the ball to the halfback. The halfback was to make the pass, and it goes as an incomplete pass.
Either that play was...
It was a mess.
It was a mess. I don't know if it developed poorly or if it was designed that way. If it were designed that way, I don't think I'd run it anymore.
It was designed to be a mess, and it worked well.
It looked like a quarterback pitch and a throwback, the old throwback, but
I think your junior high team runs that a lot better than they did.
That used to be a real successful play down the Bowles edition 25 years ago when we were playing 5-man football.
Right. Okay, wide receivers both sides of the field. Eisenhoff in a passing situation. He drops back. Big rush. And throws, and Danny Coleman's out there, and he picks it off. So an interception. He's still on his feet is Coleman. And finally the referee blows it down on about the 26 or 27-yard line, and Coleman played that well.
He did. He laid back and kept a cushion between himself and the receiver, some distance between himself and the receiver, and the ball was just a little overthrown, and Danny was in a perfect position to make the interception. He got loose from the first tackler and just about got loose from the second tackler, but a fine interception by Danny and a big turnover for Pikeville.
Eisenhoff at times tonight, Neil, has thrown the football real well, and other times it's, not very good at all. Not consistent.
No, he's not consistent at all. He's not very accurate with his longer passes.
Okay, Pikeville. I formation. That's Robbie Rowe, I believe. Robbie Rowe may have a yard.
Pikeville hasn't seemed to regain the sharpness it had in the Cumberland game, but it's so difficult again, and this could go on for weeks, when you've played a team with the ranking that Cumberland had and you're victorious, and then suddenly you're playing teams that everyone expects you to beat. It can make it difficult for you.
Okay, Pikeville with it. Pinson to throws, got McNamee or Rowe, and out to about the 34-yard line. Robbie Rowe, the receiver.
Fine play by Robbie Rowe. He took the reception and gained about 7 yards on it, Chuck. But that play is designed to develop more quickly than that. Had Gene gotten the ball out to Robbie as soon as the ball was snapped, Robbie could have picked up more yardage. But Gene has had difficulty getting the ball from snap, and it takes him a second or two to get control of the ball and then make the throw. And that's very costly time-wise in the development of a quick pass play like that one.
Okay. Pinson on the option. And nowhere to go. Elkhorn City coming up with a good defensive play. So Pikeville will have to kick it away on 4th down.
Elkhorn's defense has really toughened up this second half, Chuck, but they're going to have to get some offensive success going in their game.
Now, they really haven't had any success at all on offense. Who are these two good-looking ladies?
I just got me a big hug from Shannon Smith, my pretty little niece.
Yeah. My daughter Christy brought us some good hot chocolate, and we sure need it. There's the kick. It's very short and doesn't take really much of a bounce at all. It didn't change any within 2 yards, so Elkhorn City will have it on their own 48 or 49-yard line.
Elkhorn City has excellent field position. This may be the best field position I think they've had tonight, Chuck, starting at their own 49-yard line. A gain of a yard here, and they're in Pikeville territory, which they haven't experienced very often tonight.
Right. Well, we got Christy and Shannon to go get us some hot chocolate, and now they get back and it's warm chocolate. So we got a new one here.
If we don't gulp it down, it'll be cold chocolate.
Okay, here we go. Elkhorn City operating from their own 49-yard line, and we've got a penalty.
Looks like procedure on Elkhorn City. They had 2 offensive linemen jump off sides, Chuck. And we'll have a 5-yard assessment against Elkhorn, giving them a 1st and 15. That's not what they wanted with this excellent field position that they've had.
Okay, competition gets a little bit tougher next week, Neil. Pikeville will be playing Whitesburg here at home, and Whitesburg defeated Elkhorn City by about 10 points back earlier in the year. And then it gets real tough. Belfry, Corbin.
I was real impressed with that Belfry football team when they beat Somerset over here, Chuck.
Super quick.
Very quick, that's right. Well coached.
Okay, the penalty went against Elkhorn City. 1st and 15 yards to go. Slot out here to the left. Eisenhoff throws, tipped up in the air and almost picked off, but incomplete, and I don't know who batted that one down.
That was Robbie Rowe, Chuck, and that's about the 3rd time tonight he's nearly intercepted one of those quick look-in passes. Robbie has a great 6th sense in that linebacker pass defense. He diagnosed that very quickly and dropped back about 7 yards into that quick slant zone. Nearly intercepted that football.
Okay, 2nd and 15 for Elkhorn. Dropping back to pass is Eisenhoff. Steps up now. He's going to run with the football straight up the center of the field. He's still on his feet. Gets across the 40. He's down near the 20 and gets nailed on about the 18-yard line. Good run.
Great run by Eisenhoff, Chuck. He broke up the middle and then turned outside and had clear sailing, and Robbie Wright stayed back far enough to turn him back inside so that Chad Helvey could come back and make the play. Good pursuit by Chad Helvey on that play, incidentally. This is, I'm sure, the best field position that Elkhorn City's had tonight, isn't it, Chuck?
That's their deepest penetration by far. I think one time they got around the 30 or 35-yard line. They're down around the 18 or 19 now, knocking on the door. Pikeville 20, Elkhorn City nothing.
If they score, they're back in this ball game, Chuck.
Certainly are. I formation for the Cougars. Eisenhoff takes it, hands off. And that's Addington, I believe, the ball carrier, and he'll pick up across the 15 to about the 14, about a 4 or 5 yard gain there. Give him 5. 2nd and 5 for the Cougars. Once again, I'd like to remind you this broadcast being brought to you by the Log Cabin Restaurant, owned and operated by Jimmy Blair. We certainly appreciate his sponsorship of this program. If you get an opportunity, tell Jim how much you appreciate it. Have dinner over there. You'll enjoy it. Slot out here to the left for Elkhorn City. Eisenhoff under center. Takes it, hands off. And I believe that was Looney, the ball carrier.
Well, that was number 20.
20.
Chuck James Hunt.
Okay,
you know, Looney went off the field with an equipment repair late in the 2nd quarter. And we haven't seen him back on the field, although he may be in there with a different jersey on.
Okay, Looney Hunt did not carry the ball at all in the first half, and he's had it 2 or 3 times here in the second half. And he doesn't look that bad.
No, he looks very good.
10-yard line. It's 1 yard to go. They have to get to the 9. 3rd and 1, but they've got 2 chances to get it. Eisenhoff made quarterback snigger here. He's done that a couple of times. Nope, he hands off, and he's got it. Hunt, the ball carrier again.
You know, Looney is definitely not in the game. He's 6'1", 175 pounds, and in the first half appeared to be the best offensive weapon that, other than Eisenhoff perhaps, that Elkhorn City has on the football field,
right.
Chuck.
Okay, 6-yard line, 1st and go for the Cougars, and they can get back in this football game right here. But even if they score here, Neil, it's going to be a tough job for them because Elkhorn City not an explosive ball club at all, and they're still going to have to score a couple more times, and that's be a pretty tough chore for them.
That's right. They'd have to do it all in the 4th quarter, and that's assuming that they can score on this drive. They've got the ball now on the 5-yard line of Pikeville, maybe the 6-yard line.
6, they say. Okay, looking down at Pikeville's schedule, as we said, Whitesburg next. I think they're a decent ball club. Then we go to Belfry, and we know what Belfry's got, and then we've got Corbin away. So things are going to get awful tough here in the next few weeks, Neil.
You know, Chuck, I saw where Lexington Lafayette was rated as the best high school program in Lexington this year, and they're number 2, I think, statewide in the Class 4A right now. And Corbin went up there the first game of the season and really thrashed Lafayette, held them to 39 yards total offense. And Corbin may very well not just AA, but be the best overall football team in the state of Kentucky this year.
Yeah, I read that also in the paper that many people believe that Corbin has the best football team in the state of Kentucky, no matter what class you're talking about. So they are absolutely loaded. They're ran away with the balloting for number 1 in Class AA. Elkhorn with it, first and goal from the 6-yard line. Eisenhoff hands off, and not much there. A dive.
That's not the kind of play you would expect from Elkhorn City. They've been running a lot of slants and misdirections, and that's gotten them where they are right now.
2, 3, 4, 5 straight carries for Mr. Hunt, who never had the ball first half.
He's shown us a lot of talent, too, this second half.
Second down, still from the 6. No gain on the play. Second and goal from the 6 for Elkhorn City. Eisenhoff takes it. Hands off. Cutting back over between the tackle and the end, and picks up 2 or 3 yards. Inside the 5. Down to about the 3, maybe the 2-yard line.
That was a good gainer by Addington, Chuck. There really wasn't that much there, but he cut back inside, rolled to his left, picked up 5 yards, got the ball down to about the 2-foot line. I think it's inside the 1-yard line.
Yeah, he may be inside the 1, and that's the end of the third quarter. Pikeville 20, Elkhorn City nothing.
Hot chocolate, big fella.
John Paul.
Hot chocolate. I need 2 hot chocolates. I'll let you sing on the air. Okay. Honest kid. Surprised me.
Okay, give yourself 4 and go.
Okay, Elkhorn City threatening to put points on the board. Pikeville leading 20-0. The ball inside the 1-yard line. Third down and goal for the Cougars.
Big play for Elkhorn.
Eisenhoff hands off, and gee, I thought he got in, but he didn't. Didn't quite get in there, did he, Neil?
I don't,
Stafford, can you hear Neil? Hello?
Yes, I can't hear him talking.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't on for a while.
His mic, something. I don't know if it's got a short in or what. Okay, Elkhorn City, 4th down, and this is all the marbles here for the Cougars.
If they don't score here, Chuck, it's all over.
Eisenhoff takes it, hands off, and he's in. I believe that was Hunt.
He barely got in, but he did get in. Touchdown for Elkhorn City.
James Hunt from about 1 yard out, they call it.
Well, if nothing else, Chuck, Elkhorn has deprived Pikeville of their only shutout thus far this season.
11:13 to go in the football game. Elkhorn City gets on the board. James Hunt.
Maybe too little too late for Elkhorn, but they've certainly shown a much improved offense in this second half.
Elkhorn City will go for 2. No need to go for 1 here. Going for more points. Regular backfield. Eisenhoff. He's rolling out to throw. He's got an option here, throw or run, and he pitches it. Only thing he could do, and not a bad play at all, but he's going to be tackled.
Dwayne Elkins made an excellent save on that reverse by number 1.
Only thing quarterback could do there, Eisenhoff, and it wouldn't matter if fumbled or not, so he did pitch it. Pikeville 20, Elkhorn City 6.
You're on pause.
Wonder what that mic did.
I don't know. It just went dead for, 2 or 3 minutes there. I don't see anything loose.
Strange.
Chuck burned it up.
What?
Said Chuck burned it up.
Probably.
He can talk enough for both of you anyway.
That's right. Oh, how I missed him last week.
What time is it?
Y'all were off there for a few minutes. Goss heard you. He couldn't hear you coming through there, and he told me, so I got it back on.
Oh, okay. Could have left us off.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Give yourself 4 seconds, go.
Okay, the Cougars now will be kicking to Pikeville after their score. 20 for the Panthers, 6 for the Cougars. 11:13 to go in the football game. Pikeville going after win number 4. Elkhorn City after win number 3. There's the kick, and a pretty good one down around the 15-14-yard line. Robbie Rowe with it, trying to get outside. Now cuts back up and gets tackled on about the 37-yard line. Not a bad run there, Neil.
That was a good kickoff return. I think the kickoff was designed or called to be run back to the right side, but the ball was kicked somewhat short and to the wide side, being the press box side, and very alertly Robbie fielded the ball and just got as much as he could, running straight up the field to the left side. Got it back to the 35-yard line or the 36-yard line of Pikeville. Good return.
Okay, Pikeville wide receivers, both sides of the field. I formation. Gene Pinson still in there at quarterback. There's a snap. There's a handoff, and that's Rowe. He may have maybe 2 yards.
He's earned his keep tonight, Chuck. Robbie's ran that ball hard tonight, and he's ran it quite often. Taking a good lick nearly every time he's run it.
Okay, 2nd down, 8 to go for Pikeville as Danny Coleman comes out. Chris McNamee checks in. Everybody in tight this time. Regular backfield. Pinson to throw. He's got a man almost picked off. Woo! Really a pretty good defensive play there by the Cougars.
Excellent defensive play by Mitch Eisenhoff. Had he been able to maintain control of that football, Chuck, he probably would have gone for a touchdown. Boy, that would have changed the complexion of this game in a hurry.
Certainly would have. Would have put them right back in it for sure.
Gene had 2 receivers downfield, one about 15 yards on a slant pattern and one running downfield to the flat about 8 yards deep. I think he threw to the wrong receiver.
Okay, wide receiver to the right for Pikeville. Pinson back to pass. Looks, throws over here and batted down. Good defense as the rush had their hands up in the air, and Chris McNamee was the intended receiver over here on the screen, and Pikeville will have to punt it away at 10:23 to go in the football game, leading 20-6.
Chuck, it might have been a break for Pikeville that time if that ball was batted down. Had the ball been thrown, there was an Elkhorn defender right in front of Chris McNamee. He could have intercepted that ball.
Okay, Robbie Taylor doing the punting for Pikeville. There's a snap, and there's the kick, and it's a dandy. Fair catch called for, but he lets it bounce down inside the 20, down inside the 15 now. Well, the nose of the football will be about right on the 15-yard line, and Elkhorn City's got a man down.
40-yard punt for Robbie Taylor there, Chuck. Robbie has punted the ball real well tonight.
Not bad hang time on that one either. He got it up in the air.
Good hang time. He's turning the ball over real well, kicking a nice spiral. We have an Elkhorn City player down, injured on the 35-yard line.
You know, that's a tough assignment in college football and pro football, those punt returns. You're sitting there waiting for that ball to come down, and you know those guys are getting ready to nail you.
That's right.
Did you ever get a run of those back in that Vanderbilt, folks like that? Did you?
Had a few run backs.
Well, the one time we went down there, we watched you play against Kentucky. I think it was your senior year. And you ran in there once to run one back on a punt return. I don't think you normally ran punt returns back, did you?
No, we were fortunate enough my senior year to beat Alabama in Nashville, and I ran a punt back 85 yards for a touchdown, and the officials called it touchdown, but Bear Bryant thought it should be called back, so they called it back.
Oh.
He really did. He went out and had a moment's conversation with the officials, and we were already lined up for the extra point, and they called it back, and said that one of our other players had called for a fair catch, that I'd picked the ball up on the bounce and had run it back. And, But fortunately, we went on to beat Alabama, one of the few times that a Vanderbilt team, or anybody, I
They had some
suppose,
good
beats
teams
Alabama.
then. When you were playing Alabama, they had some good football teams.
They had a great football team that year. They were
Who was
number 3 in the
quarterbacking?
nation. Scott Hunter was their quarterback that year. He went on to play for Green Bay. Excellent college quarterback. That was their 1969 team. The week before, they had beat Ole Miss in a nationally televised contest, and I think they just came into Nashville a little flat, knowing full well that we couldn't beat them.
They got fooled.
For once.
Okay, Elkhorn City will have the football. They're on about the 10-yard line, their own 10, 90 yards to go for a score at 10-11 to go in the game. And I like these 7:30 starts much better than 8. I formation for the Cougars. Eisenhoff still in there at quarterback. Long count. There's a handoff.
Looked like we had some motion on the Elkhorn City line, but we didn't see a flag, Chuck.
Glad we didn't.
You know, sometimes at this stage of the game, those officials are as eager to get home as anybody else.
James Hunt again, number 20, the ball carrier, and that's 6 times now he's run that football. Got a whistle and a timeout here, official's timeout for something. Maybe he wants some of this hot chocolate. Or warm chocolate.
Pikeville leading 20-6 with 9:45 left in the fourth quarter.
Run that clock. Score just over the wire. Podunk has beat Greasy. Oh, boy.
This is one of those tough games to call.
Okay, I formation for Elkhorn City. Eisenhoff on the rollout. Mahan right over there, though. And we've got a flag.
Excellent play by Mahan. We've got a flag on the play. I don't know what it could be. We had several Pikeville defenders come in and help Brian on the tackle. Well, I tell you, Chuck, Pikeville made the adjustment in the second half against Cumberland, putting Brian Mahan in at defensive end. And just at the time when we were commenting that Pikeville didn't have much of a rush from their end positions on the quarterback rollout and drop back, boy, Brian has certainly improved that situation. And Dwayne Elkins doing an excellent job from the left defensive end. Those two defensive ends for Pikeville are not big players, but they're very quick, very aggressive, and both fine football players. They'll come up and hit you. And they've been responsible for, I think, a real improvement on the Pikeville defensive line.
Okay, that moves it out to about the 30-yard line, and that score, Neil, that we gave him in a go, I finally got it. It went into 3 overtimes, and it was Podunk 10 and Greenfly 7. And that was a big bowl game down the road.
Well, people over by the airport going to be disappointed to hear that Greenfly lost their first ever contest.
Okay. Wide receivers, both sides of the field. Eisenhoff takes it, drops straight back this time. Looks, now he rolls right. Trying to find someone to throw to. Eludes another defender and throws. Got people out there and picked up there by number 14 of Elkhorn, and it's probably all we can tell you about him.
Very difficult for the Pikeville defensive backs to cover anybody with any proficiency at all, Chuck. When your quarterback can get free and roll around for that long, I suppose Eisenhoff ran around back there for 6 or 7 or 8 seconds, and that's a long time for a quarterback to be free.
Flag.
I wouldn't be surprised to see a clip back here. It's thrown back in the vicinity where, and we do have a clip. However, they're calling it against the defense, against Pikeville.
Well, that's an oddity. That's unusual call.
We heard Gene Davis. Right, we heard Gene Davis from the radio station commenting that this is a very unusual call. I agree. Very seldom do you see a clip on the defense.
I don't know why you want to block anybody.
No, I don't either.
But I think the guy was diving trying to make the tackle, and he ended up throwing a block. I mean, that's not really a block, but there's movement. Elkhorn City be penalized 5 yards this time. But it did back there. I did see the guy take a dive for the quarterback Eisenhoff, and on his dive, he did make an unintentional block. Which I don't know about that.
I question that call. Let's hope it's not. Well, it couldn't hurt anybody too much because it was declined.
Okay, 49-yard line after the 5-yard penalty. Elkhorn City is in Pikeville territory. Clock's at 8:46 to go in the game. Eisenhoff, long count. Drops straight back. Looks, throws, got a man wide open, he drops it. That's number 1, and that's all we can tell you about him.
This game's getting a little sloppy, Chuck. Elkhorn really has a chance to get back in this football game, but they don't seem to be real enthusiastic about it. We've got 8 minutes left in the football game, and they trail by 14 points. A couple of touchdowns could tie it up.
Well, that receiver will never get a better opportunity than that. That was right on the numbers.
It was, and he was wide open. He didn't have any defenders around him. He may have tried to run with the ball before he caught it, Chuck.
Second down, 15 yards to go for the Cougars. Back to pass again, Eisenhoff. There he throws a screen, and bingo.
Real good play by Brian Mahan coming up from his defensive end position. Again, on a straight drop back in that wide tackle 6, Chuck. Those defensive ends ordinarily drop off into that down and out flat position to cover that area for the receivers. And as soon as that ball was thrown, Brian came up from that position and made the tackle, actually for a 3 or 4 yard loss.
Right, third down and 18, 3-yard loss is exactly right. Third and 18 for Elkhorn. They're back in their own territory now, ball on about the 47-yard line. Eisenhoff drops back, and he's going to be thrown for another loss. That's 44, Link Ritz there to make the stop. Grabbed his jersey and just flung him to the ground.
Must have had a blitz on that time for Pikeville, Chuck. Link Ritz coming in from his right linebacker position, making the play on Eisenhoff.
Some people may not know what a blitz is.
Well, a blitz is when your linebackers who ordinarily play 3 or 4 yards off the line of scrimmage rush or run through the line of scrimmage rather than sitting back and playing in their home position where they ordinarily would play 3 or 4 yards back.
There's a kick. Fair catch called for and taken by Robbie Rowe on about the, 34-yard line.
Robbie's worked so hard tonight. I think if that'd been earlier in the game, he wouldn't have fair caught that ball or the previous punt that he fair caught. But he's a little tired.
So a linebacker, normal job, what you're saying back there on the blitz is to drop back when the quarterback drops back into his territory. Instead, on that play, he's playing rush all the way. He's trying to rush the quarterback.
That's right. That's right. He's trying to penetrate the line of scrimmage on the snap of the ball rather than lay back and let the front down lineman clean up and give him an opportunity to make the tackle.
Regular backfield for Pikeville. Helvey, the ball carrier, and he's carried it quite a few times this evening and done a good job.
He has. I wouldn't be surprised to see more of that from Chad in our games to come. He's so strong that Chad can pick up 3 or 4 yards on most high school players, even if he's hit at the line of scrimmage.
Okay, give him 6 yards on that carry. Second and about 4 for Pikeville. Regular backfield again for the Panthers. There's a snap, there's a play. I believe that's Mullins.
That was little Danny Mullins. He picked up about 2 yards. Looked like he had a big hole there, Chuck, but the Elkhorn City linebacker filled it in a hurry.
Mullins, I don't want to really be critical, but when he doesn't hit the hole as quickly, maybe as a Helvey does, but yet Mullins has got more speed if he does get in the open.
That's right. Once he gets going, he has good lateral movement, and he's very quick to turn and change direction.
Okay, I formation for Pikeville. Third down and 2 yards to go for the first. That's Rowe, and he's got the first down, a pickup of about 5 or 6. Good run by Robbie. Out to about the 47 or 48-yard line. Pikeville's own 47 or 48. We're down to exactly 6 minutes to go in the game. Pikeville 20, Elkhorn City 6. Remind you, next week, Pikeville taking on Whitesburg. And also our special thanks to Jimmy Blair and the Log Cabin Restaurant for sponsoring these contests, this broadcast. I formation for Pikeville. Pinson takes it. Back to pass. Throws, got a man out there, and McNamee cannot hang on, just on his fingertips.
Well thrown pass by Gene Pinson. Actually, Chris was covered fairly well, and the ball had to be perfectly thrown for the reception, and he nearly did that. He threw the ball just over the fingertips of Chris, who stretched out for the ball but couldn't hold on.
I'm ready for a flea flicker. Remember the flea flicker?
Oh, yes.
It was a good play in the Bowes edition.
This would be a good time to see a little fancy action here. Maybe flip that ball out to a back. You have to throw that ball behind you to run that play effectively when you're playing by the rules.
Okay, Pikeville. Wishbone this time. Pinson, hands off. And nothing there. Robbie Rowe, the ball carrier.
You know, I haven't seen Pikeville run any sort of plays like a halfback sweep or a flea flicker or a pitch and throw back to the quarterback this year, Chuck. And that's a play that you'd like to have in your scheme of plans.
Yeah, that little pitch was a big play for them the past few years.
Yes, it was.
They ran that on numerous occasions.
We used to run that quite a bit when I was in high school.
Okay, passing situation, 3rd and 10 for Pikeville. Pinson, back to pass, fakes the draw, throws. Got a man out there, Brian Mayhead, and a great catch. No, he said he dropped it.
You know, that did look like a great catch, but I think that the ball did hit the ground just as Brian went down with it, and I think it was a good call. Great
Mayhead
effort,
a little
though.
upset. He thought maybe he had caught it, but
I think the ball hit the ground.
ruled incomplete, and so Pikeville will have to punt it away. It was a good effort anyway, Neil.
Great effort, Brian Mayhead. Certainly was.
Okay, Robbie Taylor into punt. The last one he got off was a dandy. He's had 2 or 3 good punts tonight. There's a snap. It's low. Robbie gets it off.
Oh, they have roughed the punter.
Close to
There'll be no flag.
roughing the kicker there. No flag, and the ball rolls down around the 11-yard line. Robbie Taylor is upset that there's no call. And now we've got flags down here on the other end of the field as little extracurricular activities going on.
I'm sure the fans watching this game could very clearly see that Robbie was hit after he punted the ball by 2 or 3 Elkhorn rushers. But there was no flag. I don't understand that.
Well, I don't either. You're not supposed to make any contact after that man has kicked it, and
it appears that Robbie may have been slightly injured on that play. His right leg, he's limping, and the trainer, Mike Ritz, is taking him back to the training table that they have set up behind the Pikeville bench.
well, once again, the extracurricular activities that went on then now resulted in penalties on both ball clubs, so they're offsetting. So the 11-yard line is where Elkhorn City will have it, 89 yards away from pay dirt at 4:52 to go in the game. Pikeville 20, Elkhorn City nothing. No points on the board here in the second half for Pikeville. There goes an ambulance, Neil, and that may be, you talked about one earlier, Looney.
Yeah, the Looney kid.
Okay, handoff, big hole. That's Hunt, and Hunt has showed us quite a bit here in the second half to not have done anything at all in the first half.
Good pursuit by Dwayne Elkins to come back from his end position and make the tackle from behind on Hunt. You know, I was just getting ready to say that ambulance pulled out, and it may not be Looney. We don't know who is in the ambulance, but I would like to have some explanation as to why we haven't seen Looney since about 2/3 of the way through the second quarter of the first half. I think he's far and above the best running back that Elkhorn had tonight, but we haven't seen him in this half.
Okay, the Cougars 1st and 10, about their own 25-yard line. Eisenhoff takes it, drops back to pass, throws, and good defense there by, let's see, Link Ritz, 44. He saw that coming.
Yes, he did. Link plays excellent pass defense for a high school linebacker, as we saw in the Cumberland game where he was so crucial to the Pikeville defensive success in that game, picking off a pass and taking it in for the touchdown. I think he had another interception in that game, didn't he, Chuck?
I think he did. Him and Brian Mahan really made a difference in that ball game.
Yes, they did.
Okay, the Cougars on the attack, 2nd and 10. I formation. Handoff. Fumble, but the whistle had already blown, and we've got one with a cramp.
Well, that's Hunt. I don't know that that's a cramp, Chuck. He got hit right at the line of scrimmage, and he may have twisted a knee or an ankle. He went back immediately on impact.
Okay. Yeah, he's in a little bit of pain.
You hate to see that. Those knee injuries, if that's what it is, can sideline a kid sometimes forever, and certainly for a few games he's holding his left knee like that is the problem.
Well, we certainly hope that he's all right. It's Pikeville 20, Elkhorn City 6.
Young Paws.
Good.
That sounds like a winner. That's what we want to be on.
Got any jokes we can tell staff? It's getting kind of
Bagpipes.
dry.
Bagpipes.
Not bagpipes. Why don't you get us a back window in this press box so we can watch the real game out back here?
Yeah, I'd say there's a dandy going on out there.
I wish Pikeville quit hurting them boys so I go home.
Right. Well, I don't know who made that tackle, but that's a hell of a lick.
Well, he hit him hard.
He got a good lick. He's hurt.
Boy, I'm starting to itch real good
Got
here.
the doctor going out.
Did you bring any of your stuff with you?
No,
Get away from me.
I'm going to give it to you.
Oh, no. Chuck
don't
said
think
he's got
you can
poison
pass
ivy, but you know he was out of town last weekend.
Yeah, I know it.
Oh, boy.
Get me on the air. That sounds
I'll
good.
tell you, no, let's
You're on the air on one of them.
Oh, no.
I've got the scissors here. Where's that wire? Gee.
Oh, he's been scratching some strange places tonight.
There he is.
I was
He's
with
back
some
up.
bad, some wild company last weekend, I can tell you that.
Okay, go.
Number 20 is being carried off, Chuck. The Elkhorn City back. Boy, he's been a workhorse in this second half, James Hunt.
Now, that hurt him bad. He's been the only runner for them here in the second half that's been able to do anything at all, and he's had a good second half. So Elkhorn City will have it third down, 11 yards to go, and they're just about going to have to go to the air. Okay, rolling out, trying to find some room to pass. And he throws and almost picked off, and he may have got it.
Great interception over there, Chuck, by number 45, Robbie Rowe.
Well, that was a super catch. We've got a big fight over here, Neil, a real bad one. Over on the sidelines, the referee dove in the middle of it. I mean, a bad one broke out over there.
Well, I don't know what caused that, Chuck, but suddenly everything seemed to erupt over there on the far sideline. Really down from the interception.
Yeah, it was, way out of the play. There's no need over there for whatever went on. And this continues, that we may get to go home a little earlier. That's, Elkhorn City has been penalized tonight, I believe, 4 or 5 times on these personal fouls. In Pikeville, one time, I think Robbie Rowe got involved in one.
Yeah, I think on most of these we've had offsetting penalties. This time I think we once again will have offsetting penalties and the game will resume. It's just a shame to see that sort of conduct from anybody out there, Chuck.
Yeah, and we're both to blame, obviously. And maybe this one was strictly on Pikeville. They're marching the other way, Neil, so somebody from Pikeville has really made a boo-boo and acted very childish, I guess you might as well say.
Well, that's one of the things you're supposed to be able to learn from this type of a competitive sport, to be able to maintain your cool and control your temper.
Yeah, football's a contact sport, as they say, and you've got to learn to be able to take that contact and hold your temper. And any madness or any revenge you want to show, that's you do that in the realm of the fair part of the game.
That's right. That's the place to do it. If you're upset or angry, hit somebody when the ball's in play.
Unsportsmanlike conduct against Pikeville, so...
I'm a little surprised that wasn't offsetting, because the Elkhorn bench emptied out there and kind of went at it with 2 or 3 of the Pikeville players. Fortunately, though, the Elkhorn coach showed a lot of control, Chuck. I saw that he ran down there immediately and turned away his players and helped the referees break it up. That's good to see from the Elkhorn coach.
Yeah, a lot better than we saw a few weeks ago.
That's right. Dickie Green, one of our local dentists, told me last week that he had heard a great quote by, I think it was Newt Rockney one time. He said, "Show me how a fellow wins and I'll tell you a little about him. Show me how he loses and I'll tell you everything about him."
Well, that's a good quote. Very true. So Pikeville will have it first down and many yards to go is what it's going to boil down to. The penalty coming after the play, so it'll be a 15-yard penalty. Pikeville will have it on the 40-yard line. They have to get all the way down to, they have to get down to the 15 for a first down.
It'll be Pikeville's ball, first and 20.
4:07 to go in the game. Pikeville on top, 20-6 over Elkhorn City. Next week we'll have Whitesburg here in town. Regular backfield for Pikeville. Handoff Rowe. He'll pick up about 5 or 6. Some of the Pikeville fans hollering, "Where's your flag, ref?" But obviously, Neil, the last one was Pikeville's fault.
It must have been. I really didn't see it until it had already occurred, and I saw the crowd over there. I don't know what precipitated it. I don't know who said what or threw a punch or what happened. But it must have been a one-sided affair for Pikeville to have been assessed the penalty.
Okay. Pinson fumbles the football, picks it back up, and tries to run with it, and he loses about 4 or 5 yards, and that's not Pinson. That is
no, that's Matt Blair.
Matt Blair, the quarterback now.
Matt Blair on the keeper for Whiteville. It's a loss on the play.
Matt's got some potential, Neil. He just needs some experience.
Yeah, you better start recognizing that number, Chuck, if you want to keep our sponsor.
That's exactly right. So
Matt's a very capable quarterback. He's just a sophomore this year. Matt needs to put a little weight on himself. He's a 148-pounder, 6 feet tall.
Blair under center, drops back to pass, looks, throws, Rose over there, and he's got it. Knocked out of bounds on about the 10-yard line, and really a good reception there by Rowe, Neil, and Matt got it out there to him.
Real nice pass by Matt. Matt dropped back and got his footing and turned and threw the ball down the sideline, and really the ball was a little bit underthrown and behind him, and Robbie made a good reception by stopping and turning back, coming back for the ball. So often on a pass like that, the defensive back loses the football because it's not thrown really where it should be.
Hey, Brian Mahan coming out. Pikeville's got it 1st and 10, or 1st and goal. Well, they say almost the 11-yard line, so 1st and 10 from the 11. Blair hands off. I believe that's Williamson, the ball carrier. First time he's carried it from that.
I think that's Chad Heldy again. Yeah, Chad
I can't
Heldy.
see it. I'm going to have to get glasses.
We're going to get you an appointment with the eye doctor this week, Chuck.
I need one bad.
I tell you, when you turn 45, things like that happen to you.
Boy, you start that again? I tell you. Oh, clock running at...
Keep it clean, Chuck.
Clock running at 2:11, just as fast as Neil's mouth is running. And here we go. Regular backfield for Pikeville. Oh, Rowe's got the ball that time. He's down inside the 5.
Another tough run by Robbie Rowe. I tell you what, he is some tough kid. He's like a Timex watch. He takes a licking and keeps on ticking.
Tell you, he's had a busy evening tonight,
You know,
defensively and offensively.
yeah, Robbie doesn't have the kind of speed to outrun anybody. He just runs over people, and sometimes he gets run over, but he stays in there.
4-yard line. 3rd down from the 4. Need to get to the 1 for a 1st down. That's Rowe again. He gets to about the 3, maybe a yard, maybe 2. Wait to see where they spot it. And he's going to be short of the 1st down, I believe, by maybe a yard. So 4th and, well, it's going to be awful hard to get a 1st down here, Neil, without a touchdown.
Yes, it is. It looks like the 1st down marker is on about the 2-foot line, inside of the 1.
Okay, Blair with it. To throw, he's got a man wide open. And Blair got nailed just as soon as he threw the football, and it goes as an incomplete pass, and Elkhorn City will take over on their own 2-yard line with 1:01 to go in the game.
That's unfortunate for Matt there, Chuck. He had an opportunity to throw his first touchdown pass of the season. He had Danny Coleman wide open. Had he released the ball a little earlier, I think he would have had a touchdown, but he hesitated just a moment, and then he took a lick on the pass, which caused him to misfire just a bit and overthrow Danny Coleman.
Okay, so Elkhorn City 1st and 10 from their own 2-yard line. That's only 98 yards.
They certainly have. Pikeville's kind of laid down in some areas and who's strong.
Late man getting in there for Pikeville. He gets in. Straight handoff and nothing there.
Well, Chuck, the way Pikeville has rushed that passer tonight, it would be a very dangerous situation indeed for Elkhorn to try to drop back and throw the pass, because Eisenhoff would be in his end zone when he's set up. And if he were dropped for a loss back there, it'd be a 2-point safety for Pikeville, and I'm sure they want to avoid that, although they don't have any chance of winning this football game realistically right now with 35 seconds to go.
No, they're going to have to be satisfied with a 20-6 loss unless they make a mistake. Clock running at 25 seconds to go. And we've got movement, and Elkhorn City will be penalized half the distance.
You know, Chuck, so often we overlook the offensive lines on these ball clubs, and Pikeville has played an extremely good football game tonight. They've knocked Elkhorn City off the line of scrimmage all night because we've run from tackle to tackle. We've had Timmy Honaker and Chris Stratton, Robbie Taylor and Freddie Cox and Pat McNamee in there for the most part of the game, and they go so unrecognized sometimes, but they've been the real winning advantage for Pikeville tonight.
Well, that's the way it is all the way across the country. Those linemen are unsung heroes, and you know, I can't remember when was the last time we had an interior lineman with the Heisman Trophy. You know, I mean,
I don't know that we ever have.
You know, it's tough.
I think
tough duty.
Right. I think the last defensive lineman to win the Heisman was 25 or 30 years ago. I can't recall his name. I think he was an Ohio State player.
Maybe the last play of the game unless Elkhorn passes, and back in the end zone, he's in trouble, and it's going to be a safety. And who's back there to make the stop? We've got to give that 2 points to somebody.
Well, we saw so many guys get up there. It looked like Jeff Rube, a freshman defensive tackle, was back there on the play, but I really don't know who made the initial contact. The Elkhorn quarterback was just swarmed by Pikeville defenders. I think a host of tacklers were involved in that loss, that 2-point safety score. Elkhorn will now have to free kick. That is, they can kick the ball from a placement or they can punt it from their own 20-yard line, Chuck. And Pikeville will receive 2 seconds on the clock.
Okay, this will be the last play when we ever get this. Okay, Pikeville, a lot of new faces on the field. We try to pick up some of these for you. Let's see, 74 there checking in is Donald Bentley. 21 is Paul Rowe. Let's see if I can find some more here. 40 coming in there, Chad Thornsberry. 54 checking in there, John Pinson. 44, well, it's Link Ritz. He's been in a lot. Let's see, number 7 over there in the game is Tim McNamee. One of the 3 McNamees.
One of the 5 McNamees.
Yeah, well, one of the 3 on the football team.
All right.
Huh?
I'm sure we'll hear from the other 2 in a very few years.
Let's see, that's number, 8 there coming in, Kevin Arnold.
A good young freshman athlete. Kevin's got a lot of promise in the future.
71, Mark Williams in there. I can't get them all. I'm trying to pick them up. I know there's more in there. Sure hate to leave some of them out, but... Okay, there's the punt. Taken there by, let's see, I can't see.
That's number 31.
Robert Mims.
Robert Mims, yes.
And that's the end of the football game. Pikeville 22, Elkhorn City 6. This football game went this way in the first quarter, right around 8:50 to go. Pikeville. Castro, you're about half crazy. Castro
That's a compliment.
That's a compliment. That's exactly right. To tell him he's half crazy is a compliment. Castro come up trying to take my mic off. 2-yard run at 8:50 in the first quarter by Robbie Rowe made it 6-0. Pikeville tried the extra point on a kick and it was no good. In the second quarter at 9:12, it was a 22-yard run by Robbie Rowe, making it 12-0. The extra point, Pikeville went for 2 and it was no good. And at 2:27 to go in the second quarter, a 3-yard run by Gene Pinson made it 18-0. The extra point was a pass play from Pinson to Brian Mahan, making it 20-0. And then in the fourth quarter, Elkhorn City came back on a James Hunt 1-yard run, making it 20-6. And the final 2 points of the game came on a safety at 2 seconds to go in the game, making it a 22-6 in favor of the Pikeville High School Panthers. Well, Neil, Pikeville goes 4-0 on the season, and next week we've got Whitesburg, and they should be a good test for the Pikeville High School Panthers, getting them ready to play Belfry.
You know, Chuck, I think Pikeville's going to have to play better next week than they have in the last 2 football games to beat Whitesburg. I think Whitesburg will be a better team than we've seen in here other than the Cumberland football teams this season, and Pikeville better be well prepared, both in their play patterns and their technical aspects of the game and emotionally if they're going to beat Whitesburg.
Okay, you're exactly right. Pikeville winning it here by a score of 22-6. Neil, thanks for being with me. Stafford, I'm about ready to head to the barn, and the Pikeville High School Panthers winning 22-6. We'll be back next week with the Whitesburg game, and once again, we want to thank the Log Cabin Restaurant, owned and operated by Jimmy Blair, for sponsoring these telecasts. If you get an opportunity, make sure if you see Jimmy that you tell him that you appreciate it, and most of all, pay a visit over to the Log Cabin, because I guarantee you, you will not be disappointed. They have some super food, real good atmosphere, and good service over at the Log Cabin Restaurant. Pikeville winning 22-6. Good evening, everyone.